A terrible cataclysm 7 years ago divided life into periods of before and after. The opening of the dungeon was a real disaster. Terrible monsters broke out into the world. A huge number of people died, including Sunny Khan's parents. Crying tears of blood, the boy then vowed to become a hunter and destroy the monsters. And 7 years later, Sunny is in the Great Cataclysm Memorial Park, wallowing in melancholy. He was kicked out of the Hunter Training Center. The instructor directly announced that Cadet Sunny Han may no longer report to the center. The dumbfounded guy asked the reason for the expulsion. The instructor patiently explained that training a cadet usually takes a couple of months. During this time, people awaken abilities and become hunters. While Khan's training period lasts 7 years, which was enough for the instructor to be convinced of the boy's lack of talent. The center's reputation will be damaged if the cadet continues to be trained for any longer. The other cadets at the center were partly amazed by the willpower of the guy who came to training every day, and they felt sorry for him. Some considered Khan an idiot, stubbornly climbing into the wrong place. But everyone agreed that it was impossible not to increase stats in 7 years. However, contrary to popular belief, Sunny did not raise any stats or unlock any unique characteristics. The guy crushes the can of drink out of anger. He himself doesn't understand how it's possible to remain without results in 7 years. Nearby, a woman reminds her daughter how her father died. The little girl in the fireman's helmet remembers when the monsters appeared, and the world was not ready to fight off their attacks. Her dad did not run away and saved people until he died. Mom asks what to do if difficulties lie ahead. The daughter answers without hesitation that difficulties should be faced with a proud head held high. The girl adds that you should never give up, and these words touch something in the soul of Sunny, who is sitting next to her. The mother hugs and praises her daughter. Sunny approaches them and silently bows in gratitude. The guy then runs away under the gaze of the surprised woman. Khan runs with the thought that he has endured 7 years of monotonous and grueling training. Therefore, giving up now is simply impossible. In the rain, Sunny runs to the instructor's house and knocks on the door. The leader asks Han to leave. Sunny begs him to help him pass the hunter exam because he can't just back down. The cadet's persistence infuriates the instructor, who cannot understand that the boy does not understand the simple truth. The manager believes that the guy came because he wasted his tuition money and is ready to return half of the amount. Sunny yells that he didn't come for the payment, but in response he simply takes a punch to the jaw from the instructor. The impact throws him into a puddle near a pile of garbage bags. Sunny sits in the puddle, leaning against the trash can, feeling like garbage. He dreams of having at least a drop of talent. Then he would definitely not find himself in such a situation. And suddenly he sees in this puddle an information window with a message that a certain Tower of Trials appreciates his unbending will. The guy doesn't understand what's going on and who the mysterious message in the glowing water is from. But he doesn't have time to finish this thought or continue to revel in his grief as he begins to sink into an ordinary-looking puddle. With a cry for salvation, the boy simply disappears into the blue light. The instructor goes out onto his porch again to chase the guy away, but he's gone without a trace, only his cap is lying around. The leader throws the annoying cadet's belongings into the trash can. Meanwhile, Sunny flies into an unknown bottomless depth. At some point, the guy starts to choke without air. But then he falls out of the water and continues to fall into the unknown. Suddenly, a glowing window appears in front of him again, with a message that the test tower has selected the strongest people on Earth. Khan wonders if this is the second cataclysm. But then the window offers to choose the difficulty level, and adds that the more difficult, the cooler the reward. You need to choose high, low, or medium difficulty. Sunny is completely unaware of what is happening, but immediately seizes the opportunity. The fall continues, and the window promises satisfaction at the end of the difficult path of testing. One after another, messages pop up that all of the participants' injuries are being healed, and that they must enter the first floor of the trial tower. The participant is asked to prepare for the start of the test, and immediately Sunny finds himself in the middle of the desert. Then the window informs about the issuance of weapons. And in front of Khan, a little ahead, a sword is stuck into the sand. The window explains that the theme of the challenge is survival, and that unique characteristics will be unlocked as a reward. Sunny is simply stunned because he worked hard for 7 years to get such a characteristic, and now it will simply be given as a reward. The guy thinks he's hit the jackpot. But first you need to take a weapon. Before he can take a single step, the sand begins to swirl. The guy runs towards the sword in bewilderment, and behind him there appears a whole sand mountain. The window immediately informs you that the training test is starting, and a high difficulty level has been selected. A sand golem appears. The guy looks at the giant with his mouth open. The window at the same time informs that we must survive the attacks of the sand golem, and it adds that there are 9 minutes and 58 seconds left. Sunny, sword in hand, tries to escape. Immediately another information window pops up, helpfully informing you that in case of failure there will be a fine. A stunned Sunny reads that in case of failure the penalty is the death of the participant. This information certainly gives a boost. The giant golem appears clumsy, but given its stride, it runs faster than expected. The window kindly informs us that there are only 9 minutes and 11 seconds left, but Sunny feels like he hasn't run that far in the desert. That is, the choice at first glance is small. Die running away or die with a sword in your hands. The subconscious remakes the golem into the image of the instructor who considered the guy a worthless piece of work. Before my eyes, I can also see mocking cadets who think that Sunny doesn't even deserve pity. The boy understands that chasing the golem leads only to a miserable death. It is necessary to take a new step. In 7 years, Sunny had memorized the theory of hunter training like the Lord's Prayer. If running away wasn't an option, theory would help. The golem will stop moving if its core is destroyed. But it is simply impossible to obtain this core. That is, conditions are necessary under which the guy will reach the goal. And Sunny rushes to the top of the sand dune. The plan works. The golem rolls head over heels from the top. Sunny jumps on top of the giant's carcass, not about to miss out on the chance. He slashes at the core with all his might with his sword, but the strength of the core significantly exceeds the guy's expectations. We need to strike at least one more blow. But the giant is not going to give up so easily and grabs Sunny in his fist. Dangling like a rag doll before the monster's evil face, Khan hears all the ridicule he has been subjected to for years. His patience comes to an end and he decides that he has had enough. He screams at the freaks to shut up, and in a desperate move throws his sword like a dart. The window immediately reported the destruction of the sand golem's core. There were still a little more than 7 minutes left until the end of the test. As the training test ends, the golem's body crumbles and Sunny flies down. The guy, covered in sand, can't believe he made it, and the window is already congratulating him on overcoming the first floor of the test tower. The mysterious system rewards Sunny with 1,000 points and also promises to unlock a unique characteristic. Bonus rewards of 500 points and the skill of accelerated regeneration are provided. The guy, stunned with happiness, cannot believe his eyes. Because for the last 7 years I have literally been mixing my sweat with blood, seeing only contemptuous ridicule in response. The window informs that the participant has a unique characteristic of necromancy. The guy immediately understands that he can now be a hunter, in case of survival during the mysterious tests. Here, at the place where the golem died, a strange clot forms and a strange black fog swirls around it. Curious Sunny touches the smoke with his hand. The window immediately informs about the activation of necromancy, and also offers to absorb the spirit of the sand golem. Thus Sunny realizes that the black fog is his unique characteristic. However, before clicking the consent to absorb the spirit, the guy thinks for a second. But this does not stop him from conducting the experiment. The clot along with the black fog is sucked into Sunny's chest. The window immediately informs that the sand golem's spirit has been absorbed, and mastery increases by 7%. A message appears that one of the 5 souls is in the possession. Khan ponders how and where the souls are stored. The guy is interested in how to use the spirit. The window immediately informs that using the spirit increased the stats, endurance by 2 and strength by 3. At the same time, Sunny feels his power increase. This did not happen after 7 years of grueling training. It turns out that stats can be raised this way. A window pops up with Khan's unique stat, Necromancy Mastery 7%. Absorbing and controlling the spirits of the dead is a basic effect. The first additional effect is the ability to constantly increase stats, the numerical value of which depends on the rating and quality of the absorbed souls. There is also a second additional effect. The soul can be stored and used when needed. The storage capacity depends on the rank of the unique characteristic. A portal appears and a window prompts you to move to the waiting room. Sunny takes a step and falls onto the tile floor. It turns out he was more seriously injured than he thought. Suddenly, the guy is engulfed in an incomprehensible golden glow. Sunny's body is completely healed. The furnishings in the huge room are Spartan. There is only a bed, which is very useful now. Khan ponders his plans for the future and the reason why the tower summoned him. A window pops up informing the guy that 5 functions are now available: challenge, inventory, community, store, and information. The command is automatically executed when spoken. The guy understands that he should only care about surviving the test. As soon as he says this word, the window reveals that the second floor is in more than 23 hours. Information appears that the trial selection is not yet available, and Sunny decides to look into the community with high difficulty. The chat is in complete chaos. One thing is clear: both hunters, whose stats and skills have been reset, and ordinary people ended up in the tower. Moreover, no one knows where they are, how they ended up here, and what's going on. Here the administrator enters the chat and prohibits correspondence. He informs that the candidates receive points for the challenges. These points are the tower's currency and can be traded and shared within the community. Points are earned only in trials. Water and food are also bought for points. At this point, the administrator leaves the chat. The ban on correspondence is lifted. Sunny knows that he would have returned from the tower as a true hunter, but now his only weapon is a sword. The guy looks into the store and soon he is showing off his shield and sword. Understanding that hunters, even with zeroed stats, will catch up with the skills they have already mastered much faster, Sunny does not stop training. When all the techniques are worked out, the guy falls to the floor exhausted, but the golden glow completely restores it. Han is glad that the healing effect of the room will allow him to train more. While selecting food from the inventory, Sunny is outraged that the room only heals but does not relieve hunger. In addition to the shield, the guy bought a lot of stuff in the store and was left with only 40 points. If it weren't for the bonus 500 points, he definitely wouldn't have gotten the shield. The window informs that the test on the second floor will begin in 17 minutes. Time flies by. But as the start time approaches, even the chat that hasn't stopped for 24 hours gradually dies down. Sunny Khan is determined to survive the upcoming test at all costs. On the second floor of the tower there is a dense forest. The window reminds of the high complexity. The guy is slightly surprised by the sharp contrast, the forest after the desert. The theme of the test is murder. You must kill the orc leader within the allotted time. Looking around, Sunny realizes that he is on a cliff above an orc settlement. The guy has to get into a village teeming with evil, armed orcs, find the leader there and kill him. The theory learned over 7 years suggests that if there is a sentry in the orc tribe of the dungeon, then there must also be a ranger, a hunter. But Sunny doubts he can handle even one huntsman, not to mention the village crowd. The theory is that orcs can only be defeated by a group of high-ranking hunters, which reduces the guy's chances. Sunny steps back to think of a strategy, and one option comes to mind. He collects a pile of logs for torches. Through experimentation, the guy discovers that even a lit torch can be easily placed in inventory, and put the required number of torches there. Orcs may look like lazy creatures, but they are quite conscientious. In the mornings, the rangers go hunting and return at sunset. With the departure of the agile hunters, all that remains is to overcome the enemy's numerical superiority and fire will help to cope with this. The Hunters Association has established that the orc sentries do not stand guard all the time. They go to the settlement to eat and rest. This gives Sunny the opportunity to get closer and start a fire without being noticed. Once the entire village is on fire, the guy won't be bothered by the orc rangers anymore, so he needs to catch a couple of working orcs. Orc workers carry barrels of water from the reservoir to extinguish the fire. This is how Sunny finds his first orc. The window immediately activates a unique characteristic, Necromancy, and offers to absorb the spirit of an orc. After absorbing the spirit, the guy's skill immediately increases to 9%. Suddenly, an orc guard appears nearby. A fight ensues with a more agile and skilled opponent than the orc worker. The window offers to increase stats using the spirits the guy owns, so strength goes up by 4 and agility by 2. The sentry is defeated and Sunny activates accelerated regeneration while absorbing the sentry's spirit. The advanced orc increases stamina by 4, agility by 3, and strength by 2, meaning the guy no longer risks dying when confronted by another sentry. In the burning village, Khan sees 1 guard and 3 workers. If you take into account the old chieftain, there are 5 orcs left. You can try to bypass the orc guard in order to get to the leader without interference. Having absorbed the spirit of the sentry, the guy no longer considers the orc workers as rivals. The guard leaves the leader, apparently changing his mind about acting as a bodyguard. Suddenly the orc directs a column of flame at the guy. Luckily, Sunny bought a shield from the store. The chief is extremely surprised that the man did not burn to ashes. The window informs that the Withstood the Flame achievement has been obtained and the burn resistance skill has been created. Sunny is extremely angry and declares that the chief is now finished. A test participant with a sword and an old orc chieftain with a shaman's staff stand opposite each other. The chieftain grunts triumphantly and points his staff, from which flames burst at the boy. But this leads to Sunny, without thinking, chopping off both hands holding the staff. The leader begins to whine pitifully, and then he runs away to his tent. Khan is forced to follow. Inside, the chieftain is clutching 2 cubs to his chest. One of them runs up and tugs the guy's pants leg. Tears stream from the cub's eyes. Sunny is surprised that orcs value family. For a moment, the boy remembers how his parents forced him to run away so that at least he alone would survive from their family. Then the sobbing orc pulls out a dagger and swings at Sunny. An attempted attack overshadows a person's momentary weakness. Sunny declares that he will exterminate the monsters, even if they become ghosts and follow the killer around. The window informs that the 2nd floor of the tower has been completed. In the waiting room, the guy realizes that the shield is out of order, but it saved his life. Sunny sees that the number of participants has decreased by almost half, which proves the cruelty of the tests. Someone in the chat figured out a way to get back to Earth when they sent a message asking the question. You can send a written question via the information command. The administrator will process the question and answer it. For each new floor, 1 question form is added. The participants' chat becomes a place for information exchange. It was discovered that after the 5th floor of the tower, you can buy a temporary return stone to get to Earth for a few days. After the 8th floor, you can buy an item for your final return to Earth. Sunny realizes that even if he returns with the skills he has, he can improve his stats and become an A-rank hunter. His unique stat, Necromancy Mastery, has reached 65%, which is a jackpot. But Sunny has only passed the 2nd floor with great difficulty so far. But his stats are almost average 20 points. His skills are Accelerated Regeneration E+, Pain Tolerance D, Burn Resistance E+. At the same time, Mana is 7, Endurance is 15, Agility is 14, plus 5, and Strength is 18. Sunny's first act is to absorb the 5 spirits he was able to obtain during the trial. This immediately results in new numbers in the status window. Mana becomes 13, Stamina 25, Agility 28, plus 5, and Strength is now 27. The guy literally feels like he is overflowing with energy. Previously, he had only read about such sensations in books. Sunny even thinks he can run on walls. But probably his body just hasn't gotten used to the new sensations yet. The guy buys a dead giant shield from a giant dead tree in the store for 2,100 points. When health decreases with a level D shield, the buff effect is triggered. Sunny also looks at the rewards for the completed trials in her inventory. There is a sword made of black iron, an E+ level sword imbued with black magic, adding 10% to attack speed and 5% to reaction speed. Also appears the cloak of the assassin of level D, which reduces sensitivity by 10%. If the agility is less than 50, then the cloak increases the agility by 5. The cloak increases movement speed by a full 15% for 1 minute, after which it has a 24-hour cooldown. Sunny hopes that she will have time to get used to the new things before the test on the 3rd floor begins. The guy finds himself in a dark place. The window informs that the theme of the test is a duel. Sunny decides that he is most likely in some kind of cave. The window reports the appearance of a dark guardian in 10 seconds. The guy tries to stay on guard because the enemy can come from anywhere like a sand golem. The window announces the appearance of a dark guardian, but Sunny does not see him yet. To pass the test, you must defeat your own double, which is the dark guardian. He looks like Venom with a grinning mouth. As they look into each other's eyes, Sunny activates accelerated regeneration. If the boy hadn't reacted, the dark guard would have broken his spine. Sunny realizes that the creature is mirroring all his movements, and the combat clash confirms the guy's guess. In addition, it turns out that the Dark Guardian also has the ability to regenerate. Sunny decides to exploit his own weaknesses in fencing. But very soon, the guy becomes convinced that the Dark Guard is getting stronger very quickly and noticeably. Sunny activates the killer's cloak effect, adding 15% to her speed. Now we need to win within a minute. Sunny flies up to the enemy with lightning speed and carries out a series of blows, believing that everything worked. The guard loses his right hand with the sword. But the same thing happens to the guy himself. Sunny screams in pain but knows he needs to pull himself together. The Dark Guard froze, apparently undergoing a recovery that would take time. That is, the enemy must be killed right now. But the guy's sword lies to the side along with his severed hand. The cloak's effect lasts for another 11 seconds, and the guy with the shield at the ready rushes forward. Sunny believes that it is better to try even a crazy trick than to just give up and die. The Dark Guard does not expect such a trick. Sunny attacks him and hits him with his shield like a battering ram, knocking him off his feet. And he is going to finish off the fallen Dark Guard. With a powerful blow from his shield, the guy cuts off his opponent's head, and then the window congratulates you on overcoming the 3rd floor of the tower. At the moment of moving to the waiting room, the window kindly states that all injuries and debuffs have been healed. The right hand is back in place. Feeling Sunny's revived limb isn't enough, he decides to test his hand at work and sculpts it into the wall. The result is simply pleasing to the eye. Sunny Khan considers the healing to be flawless. The window reports the possession of 1 soul, a Dark Guardian after the test on the 3rd floor. But this time the spirit is of a much denser consistency than the previously absorbed souls of monsters. Absorption results in an increase in Necromancy mastery to 100%, and the unique stat is increased by 1 rank. Sunny now has E-rank Necromancy with 0% proficiency. Plus, a 3rd additional effect has been added. When absorbing a spirit, there is now a chance of acquiring one of the skills imprinted in the soul. In the same way, only after being under the threat of death, the guy received accelerated regeneration. Never in her life had it occurred to Sunny that it was possible to possess such a fantastic characteristic, although probability does not mean a guarantee. For the 3rd time, the Spartan conditions of the waiting room seem almost like home to the guy. In the chat, he finds information that on the 4th floor there will be a combined test, not an individual one. Sunny wonders if the team will be made up of tower challengers. Meanwhile, a discussion is raging in the chat about whether hunters will have to kill each other during the competition. The window announces the start of the 4th floor test, which you have 24 hours to complete. During this time, you must defeat the Goblin King. If all team members die or fail to complete the mission within the allotted time, the mission is failed. The penalty for failure is death. Sunny and his teammates are teleported to the location at the same time. 3 complete strangers on the same team. There's an awkward pause as everyone looks at each other in silence. Sunny realizes that his social circle has been limited to monsters lately. The girl with the staff speaks first and suggests that everyone get acquainted first. Her name is Lika, she is a team support specialist, and on Earth she is also an E-rank hunter. The disgruntled guy is Saul, a close combat specialist and D-rank hunter. Sunny is surprised by Saul's brazen manner. At home, D-rank hunters are always polite. Khan also appears to be a close combat specialist undergoing training as a hunter. Saul is filled with contempt that a cadet and not a hunter has gotten in their midst, and yells at the bastard to get out of his way. Sunny expresses confidence in his abilities, and Saul in response threatens to kill him if the cadet harms the team. Khan even managed to forget what a nightmare he had lived in for the last 7 years, when such views and attitudes were the daily norm. Saul adds fuel to the fire by telling him to hang back and take care of the little things. The guy infuriates Sunny, who is sure he is superior to the insolent guy. The window announces the theme of the challenge, a 3-on-3 competition. You need to cooperate with your team to complete the challenge before the opposing team. As soon as the main gates of the Citadel open, goblins pour out like peas from a sack. Saul seems to be coping with the first 3 of them, as he was told. Saul is outraged that the goblins should not move in battle formation, and also yells that Sunny is not fighting. At the same time, Saul doesn't even bother to look at the guy to find out what he's doing. Then Saul yells at Lika to whip up some kind of buff for him, but she explains that she's already used all the support spells. Sunny notices that Saul needs help, so he is forced to leave Lika for a while. The girl shouts after the guy rushing to help that there will be no one to cover her if Khan leaves. But as soon as he turns back, he sees that Sunny has already killed all the goblins while Saul is trying to fight off only 3. The goblin manages to knock the sword out of Saul's hands with his mace. Another goblin is already jumping on the unarmed one with his curved blade, and the unarmed hunter simply throws his hands up in front of him. And even at such a moment, Saul indignantly yells, "Why was he unlucky enough to get into a team with a cadet?" who immediately appears nearby and quickly chops up the attacking goblin. Saul starts to stutter in surprise, but now the cadet asks him to stay to the side and not get underfoot. Without much effort, Sunny methodically kills all the remaining monsters. A window during the slaughter informs you that you have received the Goblin Hunter achievement. Saul is so furious and unable to close his mouth at the unexpected turn of events. Sunny is surrounded on all sides by clouds of black fog from the souls of slain goblins. The guy understands that only he can see the haze of his unique characteristic, so he can calmly absorb souls. Due to absorption, the following stats are increased: stamina by 7, endurance by 2, agility by 4, strength by 3, and the Goblin Guardian's skill is also absorbed. Sunny now has Guardian sensitivity, which increases her field of vision, making it easier to spot approaching objects. The boy now feels what it's like to see the world more broadly. Sunny regards the skill as another jackpot. Saul yells that the cadet was lucky. He came across weak goblins, but overall he did well. Sunny states that from now on he will be in charge and will go ahead to bring more benefit to the squad. Saul doesn't object. Han entrusts him with protecting Lika, who is in charge of supporting the team. The girl resumes the search spell to locate the Goblin King. Sunny, meanwhile, absorbs all the goblin souls and increases her mastery to 12%. The window states that there are 14 hours and 37 minutes left until the test is completed. The team moves through the suddenly silent location. The goblins have disappeared without a trace. Suddenly, Sunny feels something. The guy instantly rushes forward. The team follows him. Another goblin battle is discovered in the square by the fountain. This means that the opposing team has already been here. Sunny notices that the monsters' corpses are still warm, which means they should speed up. We need to catch up with our competitors to prevent the other team from winning. After all, the losing side faces a lethal fine. The opposing team is engaged in another battle with the goblins. One of the participants, Sean Lee, disdainfully expresses how fed up he is with goblins. Sean hopes this is the last fight before the boss battle. The other two participants praise Sean's excellent work. Sean lazily complains that he has to do all the work and asks if G likes it that way. G denies it. Sean sends G to open the entrance to the boss's chambers in order to quickly finish everything and rest. G goes to open the door, but turning away, he mutters that Sean treats him like a little dog. The window informs that both teams have entered the Goblin King's tower. The battle will not begin until there is only one team. The system adds that this location is blocked and it is impossible to leave it. A rectangular dome appears. Sean is outraged by what is happening, and at this time Sonny and his team approach from the other side. Lee swears because he wanted to finish everything as quickly as possible. Sonny will fight alone, but asks Lika to provide him with an agility buff, and all other buffs can be used on Sol. Lika saw how strong Khan was, but she thinks that people are scarier than all the monsters put together. Sonny thanks Lika for the warning and support. The girl's buff increases agility by 2 and maintains the effect for 10 minutes. Sonny is superior to ordinary hunters and has recently killed over 30 goblins. Sean Lee orders the team to prepare for battle. Sonny Khan is confident that he has enough strength to pass this test. The guy is inexorably approaching his goal. Sean orders G to use the shield at maximum. G immediately activates protection. The opposing team finds itself in a pyramid of golden light, which Sonny takes a running swing at, and his sword cuts through the defense like tent fabric. Sonny rushes into battle, throwing his opponents in different directions. Lika and Sol watch with their mouths open. The only resistance to Han is offered by Sean Lee with his daggers. Sean doesn't understand why a guy with weaker skills can easily deflect all of his attacks. During the fight, it becomes clear to Sean that the enemy sees the trace of a blade aimed at him. Here the enemy blocks Shonu's view with his shield. This maneuver becomes the final chord of the duel. The window immediately kindly congratulates you on completing a special task and promises to award bonuses. Sonny's team is ready to begin the main mission. Lika notices with surprise that the guy is shaking. The girl asks if he's okay, but the guy answers, albeit with a slight hesitation, that he's perfectly fine. Lika is sure that the man who seemed cold-blooded to her is actually in shock because of the murders that took place. Sonny suggests going straight to the boss fight. Sol and Lika definitely agree. The Goblin King is much larger than his smaller subjects, but the size of the monster does not impress Sonny at all. Khan deals with him in no time. The window immediately reports that the test's objective has been achieved. Sol whispers that the guy is just a monster. The system increases all stats by 4 as a reward and adds the instant acceleration skill as a bonus. The system suggests moving to the waiting room. Sol returns first. Sonny hopes that Lika will also return safely. The girl notes that her words may seem inappropriate to Khan, but he simply did what was required. According to the test conditions, the opposing team had to die. If the guy refused to kill them, then she would have to do it. Sonny smiles and replies that after these words he felt better. Lika sends Khan a friend request. The guy doesn't even know what to say, and the girl adds that she got through the 4th floor solely due to Khan's power. And now she feels indebted to him, so she feels a little uneasy. She suggests that the guy find Lika from the White Guild after returning to Earth. Then the girl steps into the portal. Sonny is left alone and must decide whether to absorb a human soul. He became convinced that he was capable of this almost immediately. But the guy postponed the takeover because he felt that he was on the verge of crossing an irreversible line. However, now Sonny has made up his mind. The guy is not going to kill people to increase his strength, but in a desperate situation, he is now ready to kill. New ambitions awaken in the boy's soul, in addition to his long-standing desire to become a hunter. He takes advantage of the chance provided by the tower and wants to climb to the top of the Tower of Trials. As soon as Sonny enters the waiting room, a window informs her about the expansion of the system and the ranking of the participants based on the results of the tests. The window prompts you to enter a nickname for the applicant's rating. The guy thinks for a moment, and then changes his nickname. Instead of Sonny Khan, it's now Hunter. The rating of the test on the 4th floor is displayed right there. Khan finds his own nickname in 16th place, which is much higher than he expected. The window informs that the participants who make it into the top 50 are called first movers. This status will give an advantage on the 8th floor. In case of maintaining the pioneer status up to and including the 8th floor, the participant will receive a special privilege, Halo. Sonny thinks it's some kind of skill, but decides not to bother and learn about it all in due time. Now he can have 15 souls in his possession. Now there are 4. The guy starts absorbing the souls of 3 team players and the Goblin King. Khan feels the process of crossing the boundaries of human capabilities. Then the guy acquires a return stone, with which he can return from the Tower of Trials to his original location for 3 days. Sonny wants to see if the gear will move with him, and he uses the stone to return to Earth. The window informs that the applicant has confirmed the return. The absorption process is underway with the destination Earth. As soon as the guy is sucked into the glowing funnel, the window informs about the successful return of the applicant to his original place of residence. And then a reminder pops up that in 3 days there will be a return to the Tower of Trials. Sonny is considering getting a good night's sleep because his simple bed feels like a royal bed after the Spartan bed in the waiting room. But the lingering stench of his long unwashed body doesn't allow him to relax. Sonny is pleasantly surprised by the equipment folded by the bed. It turns out that items from the tower can be brought home, which means other hunters will be able to do this too. The guy understands that there will be an increase in the number of those returning from the tower, meaning that prices on the hunting equipment market will fall due to the abundance of rarities. The items need to be sold as quickly as possible, but only qualified hunters can trade. At first, Sonny only planned to apply and take the exam the next time he returns, but plans change as the play progresses, and Khan calls his former instructor Ivan, who remembers the cadet very well and offers to apply for a refund online. Sonny doesn't want to return, but offers to negotiate. Ivan refuses to take the cadet back for training, but Khan wants to pass the hunter qualification exam today, and then Ivan can keep all the money for himself. Drying himself off after the shower, Sonny notices how his body has changed and strengthened. But there is no time for self-admiration. I have to hurry to the exam. The guy notes that simple everyday moments make him happy now. He is pleased to see his neighbor. He says hello to her. The neighbor responds with a greeting to the guy who has been trying for ages to pass as a hunter, but notices that the neighbor used to be shorter. Unable to stop a taxi, Sonny decides to go on his own. Moreover, the guy gets to the building of the hunting association very quickly. Inside, Khan is met by an instructor and a representative of the association. Sonny notes that they haven't seen each other for a long time, but Ivan objects, since not much time has passed. The guy has been through so much that it seems to him as if he saw the instructor 100 years ago, but out loud he notes that those were not easy days. Examiner Kim comes out to evaluate the cadet's test. Kim explains that at Ivan's request, the guy does not need to go through an interview and pass a theory test. Sonny is very knowledgeable about the exam process. The guy is in the exam room and Kim and Ivan are on the balcony for easy observation. Ivan reminds that the cadet must be expelled as soon as possible. Kim assures that he has selected the most vile monsters. Kim offers Sonny to choose a difficulty level from 1 to 10. Khan recalls choosing the easiest unit many times, and invariably lost to the puny little goblin. It's funny to remember now, each time the result was the same, because at that time he was weak. But now Sonny chooses the maximum difficulty level, level 10. The instructor simply can't believe his ears. The exam begins. There is a hunt for a firebird, which immediately screams like it was stabbed. This is the monster's skill, Predator's Roar, which slows movement by 25%. Before Sonny can lift the sword, it crumbles in his hands. This was the instructor's trick, who had rigged the guy's weapon in advance so that he would definitely fail the exam. Now Ivan, jubilant, prepared to watch the son of a bitch find his place by drinking some water from a puddle. The bird soars above the calmly standing guy. When Ivan passed his hunter exam, he had fun with his group, fully confident that he was simply a handsome man. But over time, the gap between him and the achievements of his classmates only increased, until Ivan realized that he would not be able to catch up with them. He realized that in the hunting community, innate talent was the most important thing, and he came to terms with that fact. Ivan saw an insurmountable wall in front of him and gave in to it, dropping his hands. Because Ivan is sure that all people act exactly like that, and looking at his weakest cadet, who is swinging at the firebird, Ivan sees how his sword falls apart. The monster is already reaching out to the guy with its paws with huge sharp claws. Ivan is sure that it is time for the cadet to come to terms with failure. Seeing the instructor's smug grin, Sonny guesses that the sword did not split without outside interference. Khan is not discouraged. He sees the situation as an ideal opportunity to test the skills he learned on the 4th floor. The guy activates instant acceleration, and it soars straight up to the ceiling, past the firebird. The force of the impact causes the ceiling to crack, and Sonny realizes that the skill is much cooler than the buff of the killer's cloak. Pushing off the ceiling, the guy dives straight at the enemy. With one swing, he plunges the hilt of his sword into the monster's eye. But alas, the sword fragment is not long enough. A resourceful guy uses what is at hand. He tears off the tiles from the floor, and he simply throws it at the firebird with all his might. The throw is so powerful that the monster's head is cut in half. But the path of the improvised projectile does not end there. The tile breaks the balcony railing right between the observers and crashes into the ceiling above them. The monster is killed, meaning the exam is over. And Sonny, as if nothing had happened, asks if the audience is okay, saying that he didn't expect the tile to fly towards them. The employee congratulates the guy on passing the exam and presents him with a certificate of a C-rank hunter, a close combat specialist. From now on, Khan has access to hunting activities, that is, entering the dungeon and trading items. Ivan demands an explanation from Kim about what happened. He had agreed on the cadet failing the test in 10 seconds, not on the test in the same amount of time. Kim explains that, judging by the information provided, Cadet Han had no chance of passing. Ivan is indignant. Why is the hunter's rank so high? Kim couldn't have given a lower rank. The guy killed the monster in 10 seconds and could have appealed. Sonny comes out to them, having received a hunter's ID. Kim congratulates the guy. Ivan reluctantly joins in. Khan knows that before retiring, the instructor had only reached C rank, and now the boy remembered how the instructor considered him trash. But at the moment, the guy feels that this definition suits Ivan himself better. After these words, the instructor pounces on the cadet who has lost his fear. Sonny didn't even expect that Ivan would immediately fall for his provocation. He doesn't allow the blow to be thrown, and instead hits the instructor in the chest with an oncoming punch. Sonny explains that he acted in self-defense, and as a response to aggressive actions, he slaps the face. During the flight, the instructor had a common thought. Where did such strength come from in a C-rank hunter? Kim sees the guy off and offers him to become an employee of the Hunters Association with a solid salary, the increase of which is negotiable. Kim sees potential in the boy, and Sonny understands that the difficulty level of the exam has been adjusted. Khan has no intention of stirring up a scandal, nor of working with those who are not trustworthy. 2 days later, rumors of the Hunter's mysterious test tower were already in the newspapers and on the TV news. Sonny was able to sell his gear for a great price and spent the last 3 days usefully. A window appears with a message about moving to the tower in a few seconds. Sonny is looking forward to it with pleasure. Falling into the light funnel, the guy anticipates his further progress. Returning to the waiting room finally confirms the freedom of movement of objects between the real world and the tower. The guy throws something into his inventory. Sonny decides to stretch her legs and begin the 5th floor test. The window announces the achievement of First Return. The guy also gets a new skill, Eye of Truth, rank A, which he doesn't have mastery of yet. This skill uses mana to provide information about the object of observation, plus allows you to determine the veracity of the interlocutor's words. The guy thinks he's hit another jackpot after getting his hands on a built-in lie detector. In the store for 5,500 points, he buys a thunder sword. The Hunter Scout shield was also purchased for 3,800 points. The sword is expensive, but Sunny was intrigued by the 10% chance of lightning when hitting an enemy. The window announces the start of a high-difficulty hunting-themed challenge, and the boy eagerly dives into the portal. You need to kill the werewolf boss in Wolf's Gulch within 24 hours. The reward for breaking through is a werewolf headband. Sunny finds himself in a lowland, along the edge of which is a cloud of wolves with glowing eyes. Animals are rushing from all sides to find your quick death. Khan wonders what the catch is. Wolves are unusually weak. The miraculously surviving wolf yelps and tucks its tail between its legs. Werewolves appear, seemingly much more interesting opponents. Sunny is convinced that the tower once again does not disappoint expectations. To his own surprise, the boy feels that the trials are beginning to amuse him. Sunny even has a fleeting thought that he is starting to slowly go crazy. During the fight, the window informs that the skill mastery of Hunter's Dagger is 100%, and the skill is upgraded to the next rank. Also, accelerated regeneration is increased to rank D. Sunny wouldn't mind learning a new swordsmanship skill, since the wolves keep attacking non-stop. Unfortunately, the lightning effect in the sword works much less often than the guy expected. By absorbing the spirits of the mad wolves, Khan increases his mastery by 16%, steadily increasing his mastery of the unique characteristic. Having killed all the creatures, Sunny goes deeper into the gorge. In the middle of the wolf gorge, mountains of dead animals are discovered. At first the guy thought there was a conflict in the pack, but the clear lines of cuts indicate sword strikes. The Eye of Truth detects a trace of D-rank aura on the wall of the ravine. Sunny decides that aura is one of the skills. Suddenly, the sounds of a battle taking place nearby are heard. The guy rushes in that direction, and a mangled, huge carcass flies out towards him. The window immediately states that the werewolf boss has died, the conditions of the test. The next message is that the reason is being investigated. Khan looks at the dead test target. The window indicates that the analysis is complete. According to the analysis, someone has invaded Sunny's test. The goal changes to killing the participant from another dimension who invaded Han's test. The guy looks at the giant from another dimension and digests the information. The message in the window suggests that the tower exists simultaneously in different dimensions, except for Earth. The giant is surprised that the boy is alive, which was not expected from a participant from an underdeveloped world. The giant asks if the boy is silent out of fear of his impending death. The Khan only smiles, believing that the knight has also gone mad. The guy can't wrap his head around the idea that the target of his test will be killed by an intruder from another dimension. Luckily, the test hasn't failed yet. Gromedina decided that the participant was too frightened to say a word, so he intended to humanely end his suffering. The invader rushes to attack. Sunny ducks and strikes the attacker with his sword. The Khan hoped to cut the armor in half, but it was not to be. The counterattack shatters the guy's shield into pieces. Sunny is thrown into a rock by the force of the blow. The left arm, which held the shield, was clearly broken. The invader is surprised that the boy blocked the aura and thinks he should have let himself be cut in half for a quick death. Sunny screams why the system identified the giant as an intruder. He is not surprised, saying, "How can a barbarian know about the floor implementation?" The guy laments why such a situation happened to him. The opponent replies that the tower is always unpredictable, but it is time to finish what was started. Sunny asks to tell about the floor implementation first. The rival decides that he can tell about it since the guy is practically dead. From the 8th floor, the system expands. You can buy a floor-level implementation ticket in the store, which allows you to interfere with someone else's test. Sunny asks if the opponent called this place an undeveloped world. Then he himself is from another dimension? The giant is surprised. Khan activates the Eye of Truth, which confirms the veracity of the interlocutor's words. who is furious about the verification of his words. Sunny says there's nothing he can do about it. The guy received the answers and is now ready to tell something in turn. With pain tolerance, his injured arm doesn't bother him. If Sunny had let go of the damaged hand, the accelerated regeneration skill would have been activated. But the guy was sure that they would share the information only with a pathetic-looking opponent. The brute clarifies that Sunny was testing self-healing, but if the guy has no other skills, then his fate is sealed. Meanwhile, Khan's strength steadily increases as his stats increase due to the spirits he has. Sunny now has increased durability by 7, mana by 5, endurance by 3, agility by 3, strength by 2. The bruiser is extremely surprised that the opponent has a unique characteristic other than the regeneration skill. Sunny activates an instant speed boost along with the assassin's cloak buff. The intruder doesn't understand how a participant from only the 5th floor can have so many skills with such high stats. He activates his aura. Sunny understands that such a high-level skill can cause serious damage, so he simply jumps away. Khan understands that his stats are higher, so he manages to dodge critical hits. But the main problem is the high-level armor, which he is simply not yet able to destroy. However, if you continuously strike, the Thunder Sword option should work, because the lightning effect has a 10% chance. In the end, that's what happens. The monotonous attacks on the armor did not cause any visible damage to the enemy, but allowed Sunny to achieve what he wanted. Now the smoldering and bleeding invader sits on his butt. Han realizes that if the armor had a lightning rod function, his plan would not have worked. The battered opponent is puzzled as to how the participant from the 5th floor has so many skills. The invader had no doubt about his easy victory. Sunny explains that it is foolish to rely on a single skill, even a high-level one, and armor. Now the invader will pay for his arrogance. The opponent manages to curse the barbarian. But this does not affect the actions of the guy, who feels that killing is becoming easier and easier. Sunny believes that if he felt awkward stabbing another person with a sword, it would be a real problem. The window congratulates you on completing the test, and the body of the intruder begins to literally dissipate before your eyes. The guy almost missed the opportunity to absorb, thinking that death in another dimension leads to dispersal. During the process of absorbing a soul, mastery increases by 15%. The system reports that the previously set reward does not correspond to the completed difficulty level, so the reward has been revised. Han gains the A-level triple absolute skill, 7,500 points as a bonus, and 3,500 points as an additional bonus. The guy is happy that instead of the stated C-level award, they gave him an A-level one. Sunny is asked to return to the 6th floor waiting room. The information will be entered into the rating system. The guy didn't spend any of the 5 question papers, trying to save them until the 8th floor. But now he asks what a floor invasion is and whether it is possible to find out about it in advance. Khan sends the form. The answer comes instantly. This is an opportunity to enter the personal test of a participant who is lower by a maximum of 10 floors. Sunny regards floor penetration as a ladder break for the person climbing. No other data is available on this floor. The system leaves the ticket unused since the request is only partially satisfied. So the guy finds out that a ticket to send a question is not a panacea at all, but he is glad that he kept his ticket. Sunny takes out a recovery chest and a broken hunter's shield from her inventory. Once the debris is inside, the chest will emit a golden glow and drop a brand new shield. Khan then takes out the purity stone from his inventory and is about to use it. Sunny is sure that it is not a pity to pay a couple of thousand for the feeling of vigor and cleanliness after bathing. The window informs that there is a little over an hour left before the 6th floor test. Han decides to look at the rating and the chat, and he is stunned to find himself in 3rd place in the ranking after 16th. The chaos of the chat is dominated by the trait of the mental resistance skill, useful for robberies and murders. In the crazy chaos of the chat, some participants criticize the murders, others criticize them for hypocrisy, because on the 4th floor, everyone killed. Sunny doesn't see the point in the mental resistance skill. While the skill reduces the shock and mental pain of killing, it doesn't solve the problem. The window announces the start of the 6th floor test with the theme Occupation. You need to capture and hold any stronghold in 50 minutes. A successful breakthrough will reward you with a random B-level chest. Coming out of the portal, the guy finds himself at sea, and bridges are stretched over the water between the strongholds. The window advises you to work together with your teammates and opens a portal nearby. Sunny wonders why no one is coming out of the portal, when suddenly a spear is aimed straight at him. Khan grabs the spear by the tip and pulls a stunned member of his own team out of the portal. The guy wonders why he would attack his team. He grumbles that everything is in the chat. The fastest way to get the achievement is by killing. Sunny clarifies that getting more achievements is the main thing, and how is not important. The participant mocks Sunny's hypocrisy and advises him to look around. All around, team members are killing each other. Moreover, they consider themselves innocent, saying that only the tower should be blamed. The participant wonders if Sunny has realized what is happening everywhere he looks. Cries for help from all sides. Most of the team pairs immediately enter into combat. Some players are particularly mean by shaking a teammate's hand first, only to use the other hand to thrust the sword into the victim, after which they gloat and are proud of their own cunning. For such an act, you will receive the achievement Vile Killer and an increase in stamina by 1. Khan's partner assures that the guy, like everyone else here, strives to achieve achievements. As Sunny turns his head towards the neighboring team, his partner lunges at him with a dagger. Without batting an eye, the Khan stabs the attacker with his own spear. Dying, he curses how Sunny was able to move so fast. The system notifies about reaching traitor and increasing the strength by 1. Han tends to view this special combination test as an event specifically designed for him, taking into account his unique characteristics. The guy will improve her skills and perhaps even gain a few new ones. Sunny doesn't plan to specifically attack anyone, but will fight those who attack or get in his way. The guy rushes across the bridges towards the nearest stronghold. On his way is a participant who has studied water magic and erected an impenetrable iron dome above himself. The impenetrability of which, it turns out, is very far from ideal. Sunny admits some cruelty in his actions, but considers it necessary to achieve the result. Other players who saw what happened consider the guy a ranker who looks like a monster and prefer to avoid him. Sunny is even glad that he inspires fear in his rivals. He strives for achievements, but not for new unnecessary killings. The window confirms the capture of the stronghold, which will be interrupted if a player from the other team appears on the territory. Also, you can't let your opponents capture your stronghold. You have 10 minutes left to hold out. Sunny reasons that the high-ranking participants who haven't used the homecoming stone since the 5th floor have already far surpassed him. The 6th floor test makes you think about your mistrust of others. Low-ranking participants are destined for nothing but gloom and darkness. But Khan also finds the ostentatious sympathy hypocritical. His rivals don't bother him, but they still die at other points. The system reports that the capture has been suspended and that there is an enemy on the territory. The arrogant blonde guy walking in front says that the guy is clearly interested in why 2 teams have come to see him at once. It is clear to Khan that he is facing a squad of assassins consisting of 4 bastards who want to get more achievements. The blonde guy laughs, saying that the essence is true, which means the sentence must be carried out. The impudent guy wishes the guy to die. 2 invaders rush towards Sunny, one of them with a bucket of water. The dark-haired man standing behind the blonde one activates the fusion of hearts. Now Sunny Han shares Jin Kim's pain, as the system helpfully suggests. Jin thrusts a dagger into his hand with a malicious grin. A wound appears on Sunny's arm and the sword falls out of his hand. The guy activates the pain tolerance skill, which reduces pain by 15%. During this time, a strong man with a bucket manages to run up and splash seawater on the guy. The guy wonders why. But the window immediately states that Khan touched the water of the 6th floor. Dexterity, strength, endurance are 10 less for 3 minutes. Sunny had no idea that touching the water would result in a penalty. The invaders continue their attack. For the average participant, this would be a truly terrible scenario, but not in this case. Meanwhile, the strong man and the swordsman attack simultaneously. Sunny honestly admits the merits of the idea, to deprive the enemy of weapons and reduce his stats. But in this case, the wrong opponent was chosen. The guy kills the swordsman with one blow, and immediately gets the achievement, one-hit kill. The friends of the deceased are simply in shock. They clearly did not expect such a turn of events. The window informs about the creation of a new skill, Contempt for the Weak of level F. Now, if the opponent does not exceed any stat, the guy's strength increases by the difference in characteristics. The strong man lunges at Sunny. The window informs you that all of the attacker's stats are lower. The Contempt for the Weak skill increases strength by 1. The tough guy gets it in full. And the system informs about the new achievement, Merciless Killer. Agility increases by 1. Jin Kim and the blonde man are even more confused by the developments, and Sunny calmly heads straight towards the couple. Jin wonders if he should attack the guy at the same time. In response, he receives a slashing blow from his partner's sword. Kim falls down screaming, but Sunny's leg gives way too. Fortunately, only pain is felt the same. The guy has no real damage, but the pain limits his movement. Jim yells that his partner is a bastard, and so that he doesn't even think of coming closer. Meanwhile, Sunny is getting closer. The blonde guy yells that one more step towards him and he will cut Kim's throat. Khan didn't expect anything else. He had to quickly kill the one who activated the fusion of hearts. The guy throws his shield with all his might right at Jin's throat. The sensation of having your throat cut is not exactly pleasant. Sunny is only able to stay on his knees because of his pain tolerance skill. The blonde guy sees this moment as his only chance and rushes into the attack. Suddenly, the guy simply grabs the blade pointed at him with his bare hands, and he asks the blonde boy if he wants to experience the sensation of having his throat cut. He begins to shake noticeably, but still notices that the guy is simply frozen. In response, Sunny simply breaks off half of the sword's blade with his bare hands, and with this fragment he cuts the blonde boy's throat. The system immediately reports that the achievement Cold-Blooded Slasher and 1,500 points have been received. Immediately there follows a message that the stronghold has been captured. The surviving teams rejoice on the neighboring islands. The 6th floor clearly made it clear to everyone that the one who really wins is the one who keeps his team together. The small number of solo winners only confirms this truth. Sunny wonders if he looks as much like a monster to the surviving members as the wild-eyed killer at the nearby outpost. The window congratulates you on passing the test. A random chest has been sent to your inventory, and 8,000 points have been awarded. Sunny absorbs the souls of the unfortunate 4 occupiers. Necromancy mastery reaches 100%, and rank increases to D. The system reports that the achievement viewing function has been activated. Class S has the first return, A and B do not. Class C has a one-hit kill. Cold-blooded D-class slasher, then 4 E-class achievements: Traitor, Goblin Hunter, Merciless Killer, and Flame Staminated. Sunny retrieves a mysterious random chest with a reward from F to B class. He does not expect anything worthwhile. The guy decides to first get the contents and then start absorbing souls. An evil green toothy Pokemon jumps out of the chest like a jack-in-the-box. Sunny rightly believes that the Pokemon must be caught. But it was not to be. The little rascal is a creature of incredible jumping ability. But Khan is no pushover either. However, he doesn't have time to rejoice at his capture. For the evil Pokemon opens wide its mouth, studded with sharp teeth, and he furiously bites into the guy's hand. Sunny didn't expect such a turn of events. Tears were streaming from his eyes. As a result, the evil Pokemon breaks free again. This time, Khan is much more determined, and cuteness will no longer save the Pokemon. Sunny pounces on his prey like a hawk, which immediately bounces up like a bouncy ball. The guy's patience finally runs out and he flies upward. In flight, his critical hit catches up with the restless Pokemon. The bastard's head literally starts to smoke, and the green ugly thing flies apart like a piñata. Inside is a pendant. The window congratulates you on receiving the highest class of the joke. The Khan receives a Class B wrought iron pendant, imbued with the soul of a blacksmith who has worked with iron all his life. Sword and metallurgy skills plus 7%. In addition, due to mana, The effect of steel protection works without a cooldown. With steel protection, the skin absorbs 10% of any external damage. Sunny, who didn't expect anything worthwhile from a random chest, hits the jackpot. The guy doesn't have time to put on the pendant before he runs out of mana. The window immediately reports that the steel protection has been turned off. Sunny understands that the effect's exclusivity can also be considered the speed of mana absorption. The guy decides to use the pendant in critical situations, but he needs to save mana. Han then goes to test Necromancy with his newfound D rank, but the window asks if the participant is ready for the 7th floor test. In principle, he wouldn't mind starting the test earlier, but I wonder if he's the only one who's lost his waiting time. The chaotic chat is buzzing about the vanished waiting time, but the main topic is the desire of all participants to return home as soon as possible. The manner of communication in the chat has changed. Apparently, the maniac killers have gone quiet in the corners. The next floor is private. Hubbub here will not give them anything. In D-rank Necromancy, a 4th additional effect appears. The souls of the dead can be used to physically protect the body. Initially, the focus was on increasing stats, but now souls can be used as a protective shell for the body. The guy immediately intends to test the effectiveness of the spiritual shield, so he throws his sword. Even if he cuts off his hand, the room will heal everything. The window informs that the spirit has absorbed the user's damage. 1 soul disappears, and 3 out of 30 possible souls remain in the possession. The spiritual shield is incredibly effective. Sunny decides to always have a couple of souls in reserve for protection. Khan opens the rating of participants. He dropped from 3rd place to 4th, which does not upset him much, since the first 50 players will receive the Pioneer. The system's statistics tire the guy out, and he moves on to the 7th floor test with the theme Proof. You have 40 minutes to complete 3 trials, and for a successful breakthrough, you will receive the Grade A skill, Grace of the Wind. Sunny finds himself in a corridor, the slightly gothic atmosphere of which is completely unlike anything he has experienced. At the end of the corridor, a light is visible, approaching the guy. The light draws the guy in, and the window announces the entrance to the first testing zone, where he must prove his ability to overcome his own fears. Sunny finds himself in the desert of the 1st floor, and a sand golem begins to form in front of him. On the 1st floor, the sand golem was huge, but this time the monster's gigantism surpasses imagination. Sunny doubts that the golem could have appeared so gigantic back then. The guy decides that this copy is 3 times bigger than the original. Taking out a weapon from his inventory, Khan decides to first try to simply punch the giant. Having thus examined the monster from all sides, Sunny is surprised because the core is nowhere to be seen. Khan concludes that the more massive the specimen, the deeper the core is hidden in the body. The guy understands that in this case he won't be able to knock the enemy down with 1 blow, so he decides to methodically cut the giant down. Every time his sword just cuts through the sand. This tactic greatly irritates the sand golem. He starts to pounce on the guy with all his might. Sunny easily dodges the blows, but begins to seriously fear that he might be buried under a wave of sand. As a result, the guy also becomes as furious as his opponent. Shaking off the sand, he activates the skill 3 Absolutes, which, due to mana, increases the cutting power of the sword by 1.5 to 2.5 times. With the first blow, the monster's hand was cut off. Although the golem is restored, there is a much better chance of getting to the core. The skill's effectiveness is very inspiring for Sunny. At some point, the guy even notices that the golem began to look cuter. The monster tries to smile in response, because this is the first time he has heard something like this addressed to him. The guy understands that the golem cannot regenerate from the surrounding sand indefinitely, which is why it decreases in size due to attacks. Sunny offers the monster to lose a couple more sizes. The monster is clearly not inspired by this prospect. After another series of attacks, the core on the back is finally visible. It was impossible to see him under the thick layers of sand that the guy was monotonously cutting away. According to Khan's estimates, he flounders in the sand for about 10 minutes, and 40 minutes are allotted to the 7th floor, meaning it's better not to dig. The monster seems to sense something and even moves more quickly. However, Sunny has no time to play with him and gets down to business. Once the core is broken, the system reports that he has proven he has overcome his fear and completed the first test. The boy, in an inexplicable fit of nostalgia, touches the crumbling remains of the golem. A light appears, as if at the end of a Gothic corridor. Khan remembers that he did not have time to absorb the golem's soul, and begins the process. And the light begins to pull the guy inside. Those who are late, and in a duel with the system wins. The window states that the spirit absorption failed. Sunny is frustrated that his skill improvements are flying by like plywood over Paris. But there is no time to indulge in regrets. The guy is already in the second testing zone. He needs to prove that he has become wiser. Sunny finds himself in the second location, in the orc village. As he thought, the tests he had already passed are repeated. Only at this moment the settlement is burning down, and opposite it a group of orc rangers is watching the fire. Apparently, the following events are unfolding. The orc grunts something decisively, and his eyes fill with blood like a bull's. The rangers begin to go berserk. This often happens to angry monsters. In a state of rage, orcs are no longer primitive Class E monsters. Sunny has started having a streak of bad luck. The monsters are more furious than bulls in a bullfight, and the whole herd rushes at the guy. Khan is again surprised that these orcs are showing pain from losing their family, which in theory should not happen. Sunny activates the skill Triple Absolute and Instant Acceleration, rushing to intercept the orcs. Soon the last surviving orc stands in front of the guy, kneeling and grunting pitifully. Khan notes that watching a family die without being able to do anything is simply disgusting. At these words, the orc explodes with rage. The monster rushes to attack the guy. With this, he signs his death warrant, which is immediately carried out. The window immediately states that Sunny has proven that he has become wiser. Having learned from the example of the golem, the guy immediately begins to absorb souls. In the process, mastery increases by 6%. The system reports that all souls of the orc rangers have been absorbed, and 19 souls out of 30 possible are in possession. Mastery of the E+ grade hunter's dagger skill reaches 100%. The grade increases to D. Instant acceleration of D reaches 100% and goes to D+ grade. The window announces the entrance to the third testing zone, where one must prove one's ability to overcome one's own doubts. Khan thinks that it will be a brain drain, and completely unexpectedly he finds himself on the battle platform of the 6th floor. The guy immediately notices the different arrangement of the tiles. Sunny decides not to be surprised, because the test with the ignorant orcs was called Wisdom. The guy takes a recovery potion from his inventory, which adds 20% strength and mana. After drinking the life potion, Sunny immediately feels better, but the devil makes him throw the empty potion bottle into the water, slightly littering the test location. Instantly, as if in response to his action, the tiles begin to fall off. Sunny activates her assassin's cloak, adding +15 speed, and dashes off in search of the red stronghold tile. A huge wave catches up with the guy, and he remembers that in this location you can't touch the water. But the tile literally jumps out from under his feet. The window immediately announces that stamina, agility, and strength are reduced by 10 units for 3 minutes. Sunny hoped that the tiles would remain in the same order as he saw them when he entered the location. But common sense in the tower has a very peculiar character. Gritting his teeth, the guy activates instant acceleration. Khan rushes, hoping to spot the red plate of the stronghold, because losing his head in a stormy sea is not part of his plans. There is no end in sight for extreme long jump. Finally, from the crest of the next wave, we manage to notice the red plate of the stronghold ahead. The guy doesn't have time to rejoice that he can at least see the target, as the waves around him begin to rise in the form of giant water claws aimed at him. The location seems to have gone crazy, but Sunny is given strength by a red plate right ahead. The first water claw catches up with the guy. The sensation is far worse than a charcot shower. Hana is thrown onto the tip of a water claw. Sunny activates the forged iron pendant's exclusive effect, causing 10% of damage to be absorbed by her skin. The window informs that the damage dealt to the user has been absorbed by the spirit. One soul of the Orc Ranger disappears. Then another soul of the Orc Ranger immediately disappears. The boy clearly felt the shockwave. But just before the wave would have damaged him, the spiritual shield blocked everything. Sonny jumps aside from the water claw. He rushes towards the coveted red tile, and the water claws are inexorably approaching from all sides. The assassin's cloak's acceleration effect is no longer active. The guy's mana is at 0, but if the instant acceleration skill fails, he's finished. Therefore, Sonny replenishes her mana by absorbing the spirit of an Orc Ranger. There is only a little bit left to run, when suddenly the tile in front of you rises up on a column of water. What is bad luck and how to deal with it? Sonny sees no other choice but to rush towards the target through the water column. Here the water claw catches up with him. Another soul of the Orc Hunter disappears. The boy falls from the tip of the water spear and dives headfirst onto the strong point. The landing can't be called soft. 2 Orc souls disappear at once. After a sea voyage, 12 out of 30 possible souls remain in the possession. Pressed into the slab, Sonny sees 3 water claws aimed at him at once. At this point, the window announces that the overcoming of doubts has been proven, the 3rd test is completed, the 7th floor has been passed. The system gives the skill Wind's Grace of Class A and awards 15,000 points. The water claws immediately transform into waves, which douse the guy with water for the last time. The window informs that the speed boots of Class C+ will be in the inventory. Sonny doesn't understand the purpose of the suffering that is intended until the last second of the test. It's clear to the guy that he was on the verge of failure on the 7th floor. He thinks he was just lucky before. More than 1,000 participants have reached the 8th floor. The system is expanding. Now you can go back to the end. The floor implementation system and the skill store are also activated. As a cherry on the cake, the pioneer of all previous floors is offered to choose a halo that affects skills and a unique characteristic. The window politely asks to choose wisely. Previously, there were no tips from the system. Khan decides, so they emphasize the importance of the halo. The performance of the ruler's halo depends on the person. It is linked to a unique characteristic, increasing growth, combat, production, and support. The ruler's halo has the unique power of skill synthesis. Window considers it the most suitable for Sonny. Hunter's halo is easy to adapt to, improves skills and stats, and has a unique level-up power. The system sees him as a perfect fit for Sonny. Monk's aura affects tenacity and talent, becomes stronger over time, has a unique power path of practice, but the system does not recommend it. The guy dismisses the monk outright and ponders between the aura of a hunter and a ruler. Sonny Khan chooses the ruler's aura, which immediately starts the evolution of a unique characteristic. The system offers to choose a new skill. The summoner skill appears. You can use absorbed spirits to create powerful skeletons. The magic swordsman skill increases talent for magic and sword, and improves the ability to acquire the corresponding skills by 3 times. The creator skill increases the talent for creating items, and the ability to acquire production skills is improved 3 times. Without thinking twice, Sonny adds the summoner attribute to the unique characteristic of necromancy. The window informs about modification of some skills, addition of detailed effects, and creation of skill synthesis ability. Synthesis of 2 skills creates 1 new one. Khan is sure that by combining the least useful skills, one can synthesize a worthwhile one. Sonny decides to try out the ability and chooses the skill Contempt for the weak and continue the battle, both F classes. The window informs about the completion of the synthesis of skills. The skill Forced Breakthrough Class D with 0% mastery has been created. It is possible to break through forms of restraint such as skills and unique characteristics if the user's magic is higher than the level of the restraint magic. Sonny was sure that 2 F-class skills would give a new C-class skill at best, but he got a D-class skill. The guy decides to repeat the experiment and chooses Ranger Training and Burn Resistance. Both skills Class F, creates the E-class skill Strong Eye, which provides visibility in poor conditions and makes vision sharper. Not all is Shrovetide for the cat. Khan thinks that the skills were perfectly combined for the first time. Whereas the second time the pair chosen was not the most successful, therefore the class of the new skill is only one step higher than the original. Lying happily on his bed, Sunny wonders if he achieved everything himself or if he was just lucky with a unique characteristic. Khan reads that the new skill Wind's Grace Class A increases all speeds by 10%. The effect is cumulative. After 7 uses, the cooldown is 24 hours. Sunny is absolutely thrilled at the opportunity to increase his speed 7-fold. Moreover, the skill does not require mana. From his inventory, the guy takes out Class C plus speed boots, which give +5 to movement speed and +3 to attack speed. Sunny really likes that all the rewards for completing the 7th floor are related to speed. In the skill shop, you can get increased visual acuity, enchanted weapons, mana barrier, magic chain, monster skin. They also sell instant acceleration, unwaveringness, and acceleration. The prices for the skills are sky high. Instant acceleration skill costs 8,000. Khan buys a D-class magic chain for 15,000, and magic resistance also D for 12,000. The magic resistance skill increases resistance to other people's magic, and the magic chain skill increases its effectiveness. Sunny didn't want to suffer from someone's unique characteristic like heart fusion anymore. The magic chain skill gathers the mana in the body into a chain, increasing its efficiency. The chains are engraved on the body. With new skills and shoes, Sunny feels an incredible lightness throughout her body. The guy ponders whether to pass the test of the 8th floor or return to Earth. The hunter on the bench hypnotizes the phone. He posted an ad for recruitment to the emergency portal team in the Memorial Park. Tank and healer hunter of rank D and above are needed, but there are no applicants yet. 3 rude hunters approach, seeing that the one sitting on the bench cannot gather a team. Trinity offers to give them permission to enter the portal because it will be cancelled if not used within the allotted time. The hunter looking for a team does not intend to give his pass to anyone. The trio chuckles, saying that a bunch of hunters have gathered in the park, but no one is rushing to join the team that the E-class hunter is assembling. Everyone around laughs at the waiting hunter. Here comes a specific question. Is recruitment still open for the team? It's Sunny Han who appears and asks if C rank is enough to join the team. The knight willingly accepts Khan under the astonished glances of those around him. One of the 3 brazenly puts his hand on Sunny's shoulder, as if to say, "There's a line of people waiting in case the guy doesn't understand." Khan offers the impudent guy to join Chad's team too if he is unhappy with something, and also demands to remove the hand from the shoulder before it is broken. The brazen hunter senses a powerful energy that a C-rank representative definitely cannot possess. The impudent man's friends believe that it is about the energy of the leader of their group, but he explains that it is not about him. In front of the representatives of the hunting association, he will tolerate Sunny's antics. Only when approaching his companions does he mutter that the guy was just lucky this time. Chad is mortified that everything goes wrong from the start. Sunny suggests that Hunter Chad Lee enter the portal immediately, because it is unlikely that there will be any other people willing to join their team. Chad asks incredulously about the intention to enter with just the 2 of them, but nevertheless he enters after Sunny. And then he is surprised at himself, as if he cannot believe this situation. To reassure his comrade, Khan assures him that most D-class monsters are within his power. Chad reminds Sunny that this is his first time in a dungeon. Sunny agrees, being sure that the Tower of Trials is akin to a dungeon. Lee asks not to be considered tactless in reminding us that the highest mortality rate is among C-rank hunters. E-rank hunters are more cautious, although weaker. Chad is very concerned about his partner's confidence in risking going in without a tank and healer. Very politely, Lee finds out that Sunny doesn't mind his leadership, since he has a lot of experience in dungeons. Then, with a bow, he thanks for understanding. Then a lizardman, a monster that wields various types of weapons, comes out to meet them. Chad is extremely annoyed by such an opponent, but then he announces his plan. Lee will distract the monster's attention and let Sunny attack on cue when the lizard man opens his back. But to Khan's surprise, the opponents stand there, simply making warlike sounds in turn, as if measuring their strength of spirit. The temporary return to Earth only gives 3 days, and Sunny is not about to waste them on a worthless creature. So he asks Chad to forgive him for interfering. Lee counters that Han will be in danger. But he doesn't have time to finish the sentence, because Sunny, with instant acceleration, has already finished off the lizard man. Chad Lee can't believe his eyes. Sunny explains that he intervened because he is short on time. Chad does not object. Han also has a suggestion. Chad is ready to listen to everything. Khan intends to lead the squad, to which the lizard men are already rushing. Khan's self-nomination is accepted unanimously. A crowd of lizard men meets their death in a short time. A stunned Chad watches their systematic extermination with wide eyes. Lee believes he got to see a super rookie fight. This is the name given to talents that will shake up the entire hunting community in the future. From the hearts of slain lizardmen, Sunny extracts magical mana stones, which are valued in alchemy and metallurgy. He puts the stones in Chad's backpack, who apologizes that he is only fit to be the porter in their pair. Sunny slowly absorbs the souls of the slain lizardmen. Then he pretends to yawn in order to swallow all the souls at once. The D-class lizardman only increased his mastery by 0.7%. This rate of mastery increase is completely unacceptable. But luckily the team finds themselves at a portal to the boss's lair, and this inspires Sunny. Chad Lee, on the other hand, is simply in a trance that the two of them got here together. He would have been happy to have mastered at least half of the dungeon. At this point, he has little doubt that his partner is capable of clearing the dungeon alone. Sunny politely asks if Chad is okay with his upcoming visit to the Lizard Man King's chambers. Lee supports the initiative, but is concerned that it might not be better for Sanya to get some rest first. The guy politely declines the offer, and the team enters the portal. Before Chad can ask his partner about his plan of action, he hears that the plan has not yet been devised. The Lizard Man boss denies any pre-planning and furiously charges at the intruders. Sunny breathes a sigh of relief. The well-timed attack saves him from having to listen to Chad Lee's planning. The Lizard Man King, a large guy, surprises Sunny with his agility, unexpected for his size. But the monster's speed is not so great that it would be difficult for Khan to maintain the set pace of the battle. The boss performs a lightning attack and hits the guy with his powerful tail. Chad Lee is already mentally saying goodbye to his partner. The window informs that the spirit has absorbed the damage dealt. Sunny is quite pleased with the testing of new skills in combat conditions. Chad feels it's his duty to report that he thought his partner was dead. The lizard man sees with an unkind eye. Khan asks if the king is upset that the throne was destroyed during the attack and advises the monster to consider it a prophecy. The boss lets out an angry roar, and then a wave of purple glow. The window immediately informs you that Sunny is under the effect of the slow wave skill, which reduces all speed by 25%. In response, the guy activates the skill Forced Breakthrough. The window says that the user of the slowdown has half the magic power of Han. The slowdown is removed. The boss opens his mouth in bewilderment. Sunny is convinced of the high efficiency of the synthesized skill. However, the king's slowdown completely paralyzed Chad, who was standing to the side. He screamed that his body was not under his control. Lee screams for Sunny to help him. The cry for help immediately attracts the attention of both Khan and the lizard man. The monster immediately rushes towards the immobilized second target. The boss doesn't pay attention to Sunny's shouts, and the boy understands that the distance is too great. And then the guy activates the summoning of the dead. A squad of armed skeletons stands between Chad and the lizard man. The boss, with a wild roar, throws skeletons in all directions. Sunny is not surprised that the skeletons are unable to stop the king, but they buy him a vital second. Khan accumulates the wind's favor, increasing his speed by 60%. A second knocked out by skeletons saves a human life. The window informs about the death of the dungeon boss and the appearance of the next boss in 14 days. The Lizard King's spirit increases mana and stamina by 4, agility and strength by 1, and tenacity by 5. The Lizard King's spiritual eye skill is also absorbed. The effect of the D-class spiritual eye allows one to recognize attacks in the invisible range when entering combat. The leader of the observation group from the Hunters Association yawns on a bench, having clarified with his subordinates that they have not noticed anything unusual. He sadly thinks that, as always, after the advance guard of hunters, the association's attack team will have to go and finish off the boss. He is sad that his observation team does not receive a reward, unlike the attacking team. But the thought that the advance guard will completely clear the portals in one block warms the idea of grabbing a share. But then he immediately falls into sadness again, because this is only possible with an A-rank hunter, but high-class hunters are not prone to such antics. However, observers see an advance team emerging from the portal, reporting that the cleanup is complete. This team entered the dungeon together, which means they didn't even get halfway there if they're returning so quickly. Suddenly, the portal turns gray, meaning the boss's chambers are completely cleared. The manager rushes to Sunny to clarify this point. He is in no hurry to answer. It is not known to whom. The elated boss introduces himself. His name is Wu Shim, the head of the Hunters Association Portal Monitoring Group. Chad notes that Shim is probably interested in acquiring the rights to occupy the portal, which is exactly what Wu wants. Chad explains that it is not up to him to decide, since Sunny took over the dungeon single-handedly. Wu Shim can't believe his ears, clarifying that Han's rank is C, not A. Sunny doesn't want to advertise his connection to the Trials Tower, so he just asks for a price. The portal control team offers more than 50 million, which suits everyone. Lika is turning over mountains of papers, which she constantly does after returning from the tower. The life-saving phone call gives the girl the opportunity to distract herself for a second. Moreover, she is interested in who is calling so late. When she looks at the screen, her eyebrows rise from surprise. As soon as the girl returned from the tower, she was appointed as the head of the control team for the applicants of the test tower, buried in papers. The leadership was extremely alarmed by the upcoming revolutionary trials, but Lika, who expected that the candidates would hide their identities, still did not think how difficult it would be to recruit them. She was able to recruit less than a dozen low-level candidates, which did not satisfy her superiors at all. But what Sunny does is a complete mystery to her. An amazingly strong challenger who single-handedly cleared the entire 4th floor. Lika regrets that she didn't offer him guild membership right away, and suddenly he asks for a meeting. Sunny can't get used to the cosmic sum for him for the rights to the portal with the lizard man. Sitting in a cafe waiting for Lika, he even thinks about buying his own house. But you don't have to wait long. You can tell by the girl's out of breath that she ran here. Lika reproaches the guy for not responding to her message for a long time. Sunny asks for forgiveness. Apparently he was in a hurry and didn't read it. The girl offers to treat her to coffee and cheesecake as a sign of reconciliation. Khan agrees. Over coffee, Lika finds out that Sunny intends to continue climbing the test tower, and he turned to her because he has a request. Khan wants to join some guild so that during short returns from the tower he can attack dungeons, but with conditions: refusal to appear at the guild when ordered, non-interference in matters concerning the tower, and the ability to use the dungeons at any time. After these conditions are announced, the pause drags on. Sunny wonders if he has gone too far. Lika considers the conditions impossible to fulfill, since the guild receives nothing in this case. But then the girl puts her palm on the guy's hand. Then she interlaces her fingers and rises from the table, completely confusing the guy. Lika invites Sunny to join her white guild, then she will try to make Khan's conditions feasible. Sunny, on the roof of a moving bus, reflects on yesterday's productivity, a profitable sale, and joining the guild. True, in order to become a member of the White Guild, you need to complete one task. Lika emphasized that free use of the dungeons is a privilege. One must demonstrate one's abilities to the guild leadership. Sunny promised not to disappoint expectations and asked to prepare everything for the cleanup. So now, as a warm-up, he decides to run to the dungeon. People waiting for the bus only saw the wind whistle over the roof. Lika comes to confirm the assault on the portal in an hour. The representative of the Hunters Association suggests that the girl sit down under the canopy, since there is still plenty of time. Here, Sunny, who had picked up speed during the warm-up, breaks next to the canopy. The structure is almost blown away by a strong gust of wind. Khan apologizes. Apparently running too fast caused a shockwave. The representatives of the association are shocked, as is Lika, who quietly remarks out loud that the guy arrived a bit early. Sunny had nothing to do, so he came early. Lika has already completed the check procedures and asks to let me know when the guy is ready to start, and they immediately go inside. Beyond the portal, the guys find themselves in an endless field. Lika suggests proceeding to prove the functionality. Sunny asks to let him know if the girl is in danger. She assures him that she will be fine. The guild gave her an artifact, the Empress's necklace, Class A, which functions as a shield and provides weak invisibility. Because if Lika distracts the monsters from Sunny, she will help him, which is against the conditions. She will not be on the battlefield. Sunny is happy with this option. He can fight without worrying about the girl. And the guy wanders forward across the field. Suddenly, Spiritual Eye, a skill inherited from the Lizardman boss, activates. Sunny sees enemies approaching from 3 sides without seeing who they are. The guy seems to inexplicably sense the presence of enemies. And soon he sees the attacking creatures. Lika is surprised that the poisonous fishermen are doing in a Class C dungeon. The girl screams that this is a dungeon that breaks the rules. Let Khan be careful. But judging by the picture that appeared before her eyes, poisonous fishermen should be careful, parts of which fly in all directions, irrigating the field with blood. Lika believes that the picture that appears before her is akin to madness. But then a smile prevents her from speaking. She was not mistaken in her choice. Sunny is systematically mowing down the poisonous fishermen. At some point, even a rare sword lightning effect is triggered, which the guy even began to forget about due to its rarity. Khan also exterminates fishermen by hand, with the same outcome for the monsters, no matter what touched them, the guy's hand or sword. Sunny waves his hand invitingly, inviting Lika to approach the portal to the boss's lair. The girl is in a state of constant surprise. It takes less than an hour to get to the portal to the boss alone, especially in a dungeon that violates the rules. Since the poisonous fisher is an extremely nasty creature, it is recommended to attack even one specimen in a group. But contrary to popular belief, Sunny scattered a bunch of creatures just playfully, without any effort at all. With delight, Lemka understands that this is far from the limit of Sunny Khan's growth. It is impossible to imagine his limit with such a start. The guy absorbs the spirits of fishermen to increase his stats. Endurance, strength and agility +4, mana +6, tenacity +7. Sunny is confident that with such a stat boost, he will easily handle the boss. The guys enter the portal where the situation is strange, but the monster itself is nowhere to be seen. They move forward, but Lika doesn't even feel the presence of the boss. Suddenly they notice a glow from above, which comes from the King of Fishermen. Sunny immediately understands that this is extremely dangerous. The guy grabs Lika in his arms and literally pulls her out from under the creature's nose. She, in amazement and mute fear, cannot utter a word. The enraged king is furious that both victims have slipped through his fingers and continues to emit a strange glow. Lika screams that the monster is behind. Sunny immediately leaps to a safe distance. Khan apologizes for forcing the girl to move without her prior consent, but he considered the boss too dangerous. Lika assures that, on the contrary, she is now in debt to Sunny. In this case, the guy takes his leave in order to deal with the monster himself. Lika suggests buffing him to gain strength and checking the candidate's personal abilities later. But Sunny categorically refuses and simply steps into the air. The boy and the monster pause for a moment before the fight. Khan activates his instant acceleration and speed boots. The Poison Fisher King slams his paw into the ground like a bull. Sunny activates Wind's Grace for the 7th time, increasing all speed by 70%. The monster hesitates to attack. Delaying the process is not in the plans of the new member of the White Guild. So Sunny attacks the creature by activating 3 absolutes. The outcome of the fight was predetermined. Lika watches from above as the dungeon boss, Blue Flame Angler, is simply shredded to pieces in one attack. The girl is speechless. She thinks she's confused about who exactly is the monster, and Sunny suspects he chopped up the boss too finely. On the way back, Lika is surprised at how quickly Sunny cleared out the dungeon. The girl confirms that he passed the test with flying colors and can use the dungeons of the White Guild, which will not miss such a talent. Lika deviates from the topic and explains that in the Tower of Trials, the chosen difficulty level is not particularly important. Even if you choose a low difficulty level, those who have passed the tests will find the difficulty increasing as they move up the floors. Considering Sunny's impressive growth, his level is simply killer in the top 50 pioneers rankings. In this regard, Lika expresses hope that the guy will try to be more careful, because the girl would really like to be around longer and watch with her own eyes Sunny's amazing growth. The boy remembers these words while gnawing on an apple on the roof of the building, waiting to return to the tower. All 3 days he was spinning like a squirrel in a wheel, but his self-confidence grew, as did his stats. Here the window informs about returning in 5 minutes. Immediately upon returning, it is suggested that they begin testing the 8th floor. Sunny does not object. You have to choose between tactics, combat, and capturing the test's intersection point. The guy wants to increase the effectiveness of necromancy, so he chooses the intersection point fight. The window states that all personal challenges will be combat-focused, and that the intersection point cannot be changed once selected. The window indicates that the Pioneer Challenger will now have a private chat with an administrator who specializes in combat. The system announces the start of a consultation with the manager of the combat intersection point, Lord Steelblood. The guy is immediately transported to another location, to the world of Steelblood. All around there are only trees and swords stuck into the snow. Sunny activates the Eye of Truth, and the system reports that this space is created for the administrator. It is impossible to look here without her knowledge. The window immediately shows that the administrator is not happy with the attempt to inquire. This means that admins can communicate via direct messages. Suddenly, a flaming sword appears next to the guy, and the system reports that the admin tells him to stop messing around and go get the sword. Immediately, a strange flying sword rushes forward. Sunny follows the object. The guy finds himself in front of a completely ordinary house, above the door of which there is even a cozy lantern burning. As soon as Khan opens the door to enter, the window informs him that the administrator is looking at him. A red-eyed girl sits in a chair by the fireplace and greets the newcomer. She is the administrator appointed to conduct the consultation, Lord Steelblood. The guy has a fleeting thought that the Lord looks like a foreign beauty. However, he realizes that the being sitting in front of him is in charge of the management of the Tower of Trials. Before Sunny can even finish this thought, the administrator finds himself literally nose-to-nose with him. Khan doesn't understand how the Lord instantly moved, despite the fact that he was looking at her without looking away, and she takes a jug from the shelf. She was interested to see what the monster that had impressed her on the 4th floor looked like, and what she saw was quite satisfying. Sunny discovers that it is impossible to observe the tests below the 8th floor, so the Lord, pouring herself a drink, only knew about everything from the reports. The Lord notes that, judging by the expression on his face, the boy clearly thought the administrators were gods or tower managers. But that's not the case. The girl states that the administrators are more like the tower's subordinates, so there is no need to be nervous when they are around. The Lord of Steel Blood is unable to harm a participant as long as he obeys the Tower of Trials. This personal consultation is an advantage earned by the guy, which allows him to save on question forms and find out everything personally. Sunny clarifies that this bonus is given exclusively to pioneers. The guy wonders why the intruder who almost finished him off came to him on the 5th floor. The administrator explains that there is no special reason for this. It is just that by invading a floor in another world, the intruder receives not only a reward for the challenge. These invaders come from worlds where the tower has existed for many decades, and they know that the reward for the death of a challenger from another world is the greatest. Invaders from other worlds know that the tower of this world, the earthly one, will eventually unite with the towers of other worlds. Starting from the 20th floor, the focus shifts to combined challenges, where participants from different worlds collide. In Sunny's opinion, this looks too much like an attempt to eliminate competitors with whom future clashes are inevitable. The guy wants to know what the Tower of Trials is. Lord Steelblood pauses. Then the administrator says that she herself would not mind knowing this answer. The guy can't believe that the administrator doesn't know the answer. But the Lord explains that the current administrators were the same participants as Sunny, but died after the 40th floor. Those who die after the 40th round are given the right to be reborn as administrators. Lord Ironblood climbed to see the top of the tower, but she couldn't, so she became an administrator. Sunny is disappointed to realize that the administrators are former participants and also know nothing about the summit. At these words, the Lord frowned, and a moment later Sunny is pinned to the wall by her hand. The Lord hisses that it is not proper to speak of the summit in such a disparaging manner. The guy doesn't answer. The administrator asks what he is not afraid of and not surprised about. The Khan calmly explains that this consultation is his advantage, and he does not feel any hostility from the Lord at the moment. A second later, Sunny hooks his fingers into the wall and simply breaks a hole out. Khan has no intention of allowing harm to come to him so easily. The administrator's mouth drops open at this statement. This is the first time in her life that she has seen someone destroy the administrator's personal residence. But the Lord finds the guy's actions very convincing and offers the applicant, Sunny Khan, a patronage agreement. At this point, Sunny is transported to her waiting room, where an exclusive contractor shop immediately opens with prices in special glasses. The contractor is listed as Lord Ironblood, and the items for sale are strength, items, and skills. Khan realizes that the Lord was not a dream. He remembers how she extended her hand to him, in which the scroll appeared, saying that she did not intend to let go of the brave and talented applicant. As a special benefit, the Lord increases all of the guy's stats by 1. The last thing the guy heard was her words like, "It wasn't boring." There are 3 types of power in the shop on the first page: Steel Soul Class A+, Winter King D+, and Purity of Mind C. However, it is not possible to go to the next page of the exclusive store before the 10th floor. The power of the Steel Soul increases weapon mastery by 2.32 times, and all newly learned combat skills start with 10% mastery. Steel skill costs 6,500 special points. For 800 there is the power of the King of Winter, often found among northern rulers, which allows you not to freeze and increases stats in the cold. At first, Sunny planned to save up special points, but still acquires the power of Purity of Mind for 1,000, which increases combat immersion. This power also allows one to think rationally in any situation and reduces confusion and anger during combat. With this purchase, Sunny intends to increase his own level of survivability, understanding the inevitability of floor invasions. The guy starts the 8th floor challenge with the theme of destruction. He has to defeat the skeleton summoning lich. Sunny is immediately impressed by the scope of the mission. He finds himself on a cliff with a sea of skeletons spreading out below him. The guy thinks that the tower is trying to crush the challenger with the number of enemies. However, Sunny decides not to delay the inevitable and begins to destroy the skeletons. The intensity of the influx does not decrease, but weak attackers are not able to break through even the basic defense of the guy. The skeletons differ only in the types of weapons and equipment. Sunny methodically destroys the arriving enemies. Bones are scattered in all directions. For each skeleton, the mastery increases by only 0.08%, which is quite depressing for Sunny. The guy resigns himself to the idea that he is unlikely to improve his skills much during the test, despite the number of enemies. Standing on the piles of bones, Sunny suddenly hears someone's voice screaming about what kind of goat is causing trouble in the sanctuary. The guy summons skeleton soldiers by absorbing souls. His skeletons are good at crushing the remains of the attackers. So Sunny leaves the skeletons to sort things out among themselves and decides to go in search of their boss. Han activates Wind's Grace, increasing his speed by 60%, and turns on his speed boots. According to his guess, the lich must clearly live in a castle on a remote hill. Sunny's guess turns out to be correct, and he is met in the castle by a lich with a grimoire in his hand. The lich is outraged that a lowly man dared to invade his sanctuary. The summoner threatens the disturber of his peace with cruel reprisal. The grimoire has already been opened. 2 huge, angrily roaring sand golems appear. Sunny is surprised that the lich has control over more than just skeletons. The lich wonders if he made the man tremble. Khan suggests calling on someone more powerful from the available arsenal so as not to disappoint the guest. The lich calls the man crazy. He is sure that the guards will simply tear the impudent fellow to pieces. Sunny doesn't object and doesn't try to do anything, allowing the golems to come closer. Khan then activates instant speed boost, and soon the golems are lying around the lich in piles of parts. The guy is already raising his sword over the boss when the window informs him that for each guardian, mastery increases by 1.2%. Sunny is pleased with how the undead are increasing his skills. The lich hisses in displeasure. Where did this monster come from? In his eyes, a person looks exactly like this. The Khan raises his sword a second time. His gaze falls on the grimoire with which the lich summons monsters. Sunny wouldn't mind learning such a skill. He throws the grimoire at the frightened lich. The guy finds out that the lich is able to summon the guards again a couple of minutes after their death. Sunny orders to begin the summoning. The lich, who does not understand anything, obediently carries out the order under threat of death. The second time, the guy just as quickly crushes a couple of golems. Sunny tells the lich to summon all the skeletons that are not yet dead and infuse their powers into the golems, so that the guy could once again crush the guards. The lich screams at how much longer he has to do this, until Sunny tells me to stop. Each guardian smash grants 1.2% mastery. Soon the window will inform you that the unique necromancy characteristic has been reached at 100%. Necromancy reaches rank C. The exhausted lich grumbles and curses the bastard who made even the devil tremble. He promises to curse him even after death. With each summoning, more and more cracks appear on the lich's skull. That is, it is practically crumbling to dust. Sunny regrets that the lich didn't last longer and simply blows his head off. The severed head of the undead states that the worst thing in his life was meeting Sunny. The window informs you about the achievement, a person who surpasses the devil, and an increase in agility by 1. Absorbing the spirit of the lich increases mastery by 17.4%. All stats are increased by 700 special reward points, and 300 special bonus points are awarded, as well as 30,000 points for completing the test. The waiting room announces that the system has been expanded. There are no limits on answers, admins can monitor tests, and Class C skills can be purchased. Necromancy C rank allows you to inherit the skill completely when absorbing the skill of the soul of the dead. That is, you do not need to pump it from scratch. In addition, there is a 20% chance of acquiring the skill imprinted in the absorbed soul. Sunny believes that the sword is still quite usable, but he would like to improve his skills. The hunter's dagger skill is at its maximum. Now the sword skill is required, but the guy doesn't find anything suitable in the store. Therefore, he needs to create a new skill himself. For the basis, the guy buys Basic Fencing Class E for 25,000 points. This skill increases the basic skills of all types of fencing, and when using a sword, increases the cutting force by 1.5 times. To increase the rank of Hunter's Dagger, Sunny combines it with Basic Swordsmanship. The C-class skill Demon Slayer is synthesized. This hunting swordsmanship skill doubles attack speed when fighting non-humans. Sounds just perfect for fighting monsters. Skill fusion proves its worth once again. Sunny gets excited even though he understands the dangers and risks of gambling. Han synthesizes Nature Law Resistance and Accelerated Regeneration of Class D. The result is Iron Blood Regeneration of Class C, then synthesizes C-Class Iron Blood Regeneration and D-Class Pain Tolerance. The result is B-Class Ash Blood. Ashen blood is a racial trait for mutant vampires. Now recovery increases proportionally to tenacity. Regeneration from physical damage is accelerated 3 times, and up to 40% of pain sensations are blocked. Sunny is eager to test the skill, but the room heals everything on its own. So for 100 points, he temporarily disables the room's healing effect. The spiritual shield does not activate because all souls have been absorbed. And the guy, without hesitation, chops off his own hand with a backhand. A new hand appears in a golden glow. Now, even outside the waiting room, Han is effectively under constant healing. There is no need for an iron shield, but the guy got used to this accessory and decides to use it until the shield breaks for the second time. Sunny looks into the general chat, but finds nothing interesting there. A portal opens to the 9th floor with the theme of the Fight Challenge, which takes 1 day to complete. You must destroy all the monsters in the arena. The system immediately warns about the introduction of a candidate from the world of Murim, who stole the test target. The gray-haired old man, standing on a pedestal made of the carcasses of slain monsters, introduces himself as the commander of the Murim Union, Sol. The goal of the test is declared by the system to be the assassination of Sol from the world of Murim, who calmly asks the name of the opponent. Sunny is not clear why the enemy needs his name. He explains that he announced his name and position according to the etiquette of fencers. Khan sees no point in introducing himself, since the grandpa's invasion of his floor was not at all with good intentions. Sunny is simply in shock. Either all the invaders are completely crazy, or this is just his personal bad luck. Grandpa resigns himself to the boy's anonymity, and unexpectedly briskly for his appearance, he rushes into the attack. Sunny activates the Grace of the Wind, increasing all speed by 30%, lightning fast reflecting the omnipresent blades. Sol is surprised to meet such an experienced warrior in the Earth dimension. The Murim commander apologizes for looking down on the boy. Han demands that he stop being so hypocritical. After all, Sol has come to kill him and steal the reward, so his feigned politeness is simply pointless. The old man believes that they cannot understand each other, since they are from different worlds. With these words, he raises his shining sword. Sol raises his weapon with a memorial phrase for the nameless swordsman. Sunny is immediately enveloped in a thick purple haze. The window explains that the unique characteristic sword light blinded him for 5 seconds. The guy finds himself in pitch darkness on all sides. The skill Resistance to Magic is immediately activated, and the duration of blindness is reduced to 2.5 seconds. Sunny activates the Spiritual Eye skill and realizes that a sword is flying towards him. The guy manages to dodge, and the sword only slightly cuts the skin. The window informs about receiving the achievement Avoiding Blindness and +2 to Dexterity. The sword light effect ends, and the grandpa invader looks clearly surprised. The Ash Blood skill activates, the cut on his neck immediately heals, and Sunny realizes that his throat was almost cut. Sol doesn't understand how the enemy calculated the trajectory of his sword. Instead of answering, Han turns on instant acceleration, activating the Grace of the Wind, increasing all speed by 50%. Sunny charges in. The swords clash tip to tip in a shower of light. The guy decides to kick the old man, which Sol immediately tries to cut off. Sunny tries to kick away his opponent's sword. The elderly intruder complains about the use of strange techniques. The guy is puzzled that their characteristics are almost at the same level, but this thought does not stop him from continuing the fight. The Murimian invader reports that from now on he will act seriously, and again turns on his unique characteristic, Sword Light. The window informs about blindness for 5 seconds. Magic resistance reduces the duration of blindness by half, and Khan immediately activates Spiritual Eye. Sunny feels the enemy's punches increase in speed, one of which is inexorably approaching. The exclusive effect of the wrought iron pendant absorbs 10% of physical damage. The shield shatters into pieces, and the pain resistance skill is immediately activated. This means that the blow was so strong that steel protection was simply not enough. The eclipse effect ends. Sunny jumps away from his opponent, but the invader manages to reach his shieldless hand with his glowing blade. The feeling is not pleasant, Accelerated regeneration saves the situation. The restless grandfather says that he initially mistook his opponent for a good martial arts master, but now he realized that all his techniques were borrowed. In response, Sunny states that the unique blinding characteristic of the invader is also an ability that the tower has endowed. The boy activates the Grace of the Wind for the 7th time, increasing his speed by 70%. He wonders how you can criticize others for something you use yourself. Sol starts to talk about how swordsmen shouldn't rely on borrowed abilities. Sunny is already attacking. Instead of finishing his hypocritical tirade, the intruder receives a blow to the head. Han wonders if Sol is okay with dying due to using the borrowed ability. The tip of Sunny's sword rests on the enemy's forehead. Sol has used the floor invasion dozens of times and has struck down opponents from many worlds with his sword. But in the earthly world, the opponents are so weak that this dimension is called a jar of honey. Never before had an Earth challenger touched a hair of Sol's head. He always won with the first use of blindness. The invader was completely confident that history would repeat itself once again without any changes. But the situation turned out to be completely different. Grandpa attacks back and immediately jumps to the side. The attack does not have the expected effect because Sunny's accelerated regeneration is activated, which his opponent from the world of Murim does not possess. 4 windows pop up with the admin's reactions. The Beast of the North predicts Sunny's defeat. The hero of the Black Isles praises Khan's skill. The Lord of the Late Night is interested, and the White Crane Sword admires the guy. Sol grits his teeth. Grandfather activates Nymph Walk, increasing his speed almost 3 times, and Lightning Chi Sword, filling the sword with lightning energy. Adds to this 1 strike, doubling the sword's cutting power on the next attack, and doubles the attack speed of 1 strike 2 skins. Sunny comments with a smile that the invader recently criticized all techniques. Suddenly, the system notifies about a floor invasion penalty. All of Sol's stats are reduced by 8. In addition, the skills Lightning Chi Sword and 1 strike 2 skins are forcibly deactivated. But Grandpa turns on Sword Light. The guy already habitually reacts to the intruder's template attack by activating the Spiritual Eye. The fierce old man threatens to gut the guy and rushes to attack. Sunny activates 3 absolutes at these words, empowering his next 3 attacks with the skill. He reflects the blow of the elderly Sol. Fortunately, the eclipse effect is also ending. This duel is far from an easy fight for both opponents. The invader's vaunted sword is broken, as does its owner in general. The commander of the Murim Union simply refuses to believe his own eyes, but his dismembered body falls to the ground. The system congratulates Sunny on reaching the 9th floor of the Tower of Trials. Absorbing the spirit of a Sol participant immediately increases necromancy mastery by 27%. This is followed by a familiar message about the incompatibility of the reward and the difficulty level of the task and their subsequent revision. Khan receives the skill 6th Sense Ragna C plus 30,000 points and 1,000 special points as a reward. Sunny sees that the 6th Sense is much cooler than Animal Instinct, which was originally proposed. The windows report that Admin's White Crane Sword, Beast of the North, Late Night Devourer, and Hero of the Black Isles enjoyed his duel. The system is expanded and administrators can now monitor the test. Sunny feels satisfied with the recognition she has received. Immediately a message arrives that the admin Lord of Steelblood condemns the hype around Khan and advises against becoming obsessed with attention. The window informs you that the White Crane Sword admin wants to add power to the exclusive shop. You need to accept or decline the offer. Lord Steelblood grumpily allows the offer to be accepted. Admins may sponsor a force to gain favor with a contractor. Sunny wonders why the administrator would want the favor of a member with an existing contract. Administrator White Crane Sword explains that in the future there will be many situations that they will have to face. Lord Steelblood notes that the power given is so remarkable that Khan will even feel burdened. That is, they give him power but expect something in return. Sunny gratefully accepts the offer. The power Swordmaster Key appears in the exclusive shop. Here, the administrator of the White Crane Sword smiles and asks not to forget about kindness, according to the window message. Access to common areas also opens. Sunny wonders out loud if the receptionists in the waiting room are watching him. But there is no answer, so they are not watching. The description of the added power says that the sword ki is the transformed released ki energy that is available to first-class warriors. Chi power can enhance the sword with chi energy, increasing mana consumption. Looks pretty good to the guy. The second page of the exclusive shop is now available, featuring Bone Reconstruction C+, Death's Hand B, and Steel Blood Sword A. Bone Reconstruction for 1,500 special points changes the bone structure for any martial art and increases all stats by 2. Steel Blood Sword for 5,000 special points will allow you to summon a sword from mana, but can only be used once. Hand of Death for 2,500 doubles the effectiveness of black magic and necromancy, and touching the object that inflicts wounds causes decomposition. But the guy only has 2,000 special points, so he buys the power of a Ki Swordmaster for 1.5. Sunny uses mana for the 3 absolute skill, but it feels different. The mana flows into the sword instantly, like a wave. The Chi Swordmaster is more like a stream of water that flows through the sword, and every minute the power is activated, 2% more mana is consumed. That is, after 50 minutes, the mana consumption will be 100%. The Sixth Sense skill sharpens your instincts to the point that they literally become a sixth sense, based on which you can make conclusions. Sunny enters the 10th floor community. From the usual chaos, it can be seen that the common areas are a place where people from different countries meet. Moreover, foreign languages are automatically translated. Someone saw a S-rank hunter from Japan in the common area. Someone writes that in the common area, a foreigner offered to exchange power with its administrator. Sunny decides to go on reconnaissance in the common area himself, since he can not only look at the other participants, but also exchange powers. At the same time, a guy who used the question form to find out about this place, and a girl in a nun's robe move into the common area. The 2 new arrivals are watched from the undergrowth. The gang hiding in the bushes knows that the newcomer is a rank A hunter from Korea. The leader of the trio was always worried about the not-so-good behavior of this powerful hunter. But outside the general area, killing is not prohibited. Unsuspecting hunters walk along the road. Suddenly the boy falls to his knees. The weakening light has depleted his mana. Territory restriction reduced all stats by 20 and Eye of Terror paralyzed. The stunned hunter wonders what kind of chaos these strangers are committing. Then a nun comes up and demands that they stop, otherwise she will report the trio's hooliganism to the community. The ringleader of the group promises to think about the request if in return the girl undresses. If she gets completely naked, one of them will be left alive. The girl doesn't understand what this means. The ringleader offers to help and reaches out his hand to the nun. At this moment, Sunny passes by and also attracts the attention of the trio. Khan is called. Then, with impudent grins, they clarify that the guy is also Korean. Sunny sighs resignedly. He just wanted to pass by calmly. The gang uses their unique characteristics on the guy, which knocked out the first hunter. However, they attack the wrong person. Khan activates Forced Breakthrough and Magic Resistance, removing all effects and restrictions. The guy takes a sword out of his inventory. Sunny declares that he wasn't the one who started it and turns on instant acceleration. The guy deals with 2 troublemakers instantly and manages to put up an ice shield for the third one. Without further ado, Sunny hits the shield with his fist at full speed. The immobilized hunter and the nun simply open their mouths. The chief troublemaker lands on his butt, seeing his ice shield crack at the seams. Sunny hits the shield with his fist again for good measure, and it shatters into pieces. The leader of the troublemakers, having suddenly lost all his arrogance, shouts that he was wrong and asks for mercy. But Khan's sword doesn't let him finish. Sunny absorbs the souls of the slain, increasing her necromancy mastery by 6.4%. The fight did not take long. The nun asks for forgiveness, but the duel ended before she could think to intervene and help. Khan assures that everything is fine. The girl thanks him and leaves. The rescued hunter clarifies that Sunny can be called a ranker and thanks him for saving him. The guy assures that everything is fine. In fact, he killed those who tried to kill him and saved passers-by along the way. Sunny turns to leave, but the boy calls out to him. He asks to leave the corpses of troublemakers for him. In gratitude for saving and for the corpses, he promises to provide power. The boy points his palm towards the dead bodies. A glowing opening opens on the palm like a portal. Bodies disappear into this portal quickly and without a trace. Sunny watches what is happening, believing that this is also some kind of force. The boy, or rather his administrator Gourmand, adds the power of steel wings to the exclusive store. This power will allow you to create wings and levitate on them. Sunny thanks. Admin Sword of the White Crane asks not to bother the participant he noticed. Admin Gourmet is outraged by the degree of non-compliance with business ethics. Admin Lord of Steel Blood is not at all pleased with the fact that they are hanging around his contractor. Admin Black Devil watches the squabble with pleasure. Based on the commotion, Sunny concludes that the administrators definitely want something from the participants. But don't worry, everything has its time. The rescued hunter tells us on the way that the common area consists of a gaming area, an auction, and an arena. He also knows that in addition to Earth, 3 worlds are participating in the floor implementation: Murim, Kalian, and Ares. Ares' dimension is all about chivalry. Murim is similar to Earth, but more aggressive. Sunny realizes that the first invader was from Ares, the second, as we know, from Murim. The dimension of Kalian is home to beastmen, fairies, and elves. For an educational conversation, the children come to the common area. The young man asks to contact him at any time and hands Khan his business card. He is the head of the team that monitors applicants from the Hunters Association. The window informs that after entering the common area, all anomalies are removed, plus battles between participants are impossible. The boy hurries to the auction area, while Sunny intends to visit the arena. Khan sees the participants sitting in chairs. Some people get nervous, standing in front of the screens, as if they were at a betting shop, commenting on what is happening. At first glance, the arena reminds Sunny of an ordinary gambling house. Admin Black Devil is reminded of the past. Admin Lord Steel Blood hatefully declares that arenas are the same everywhere. Admin White Crane Sword is worried that the arena is getting hot. Sunny guesses that she should sit in one of the empty chairs. As soon as Khan takes the chair, a window informs about the activation of the arena system and offers a choice between a duel and bets. The window explains that when choosing a bet, you can put points on the duel of other participants. Depending on the result, points can be lost or gained. When choosing a duel, you can fight other participants for a reward, power, skill, or item. Duels are only held if the reward level is the same. When confirming a duel, participants see each other's names and ratings. When a duel is confirmed, the opponents are transported to the Colosseum to fight. When one of the participants surrenders, the duel ends. Visitors are gushing over the famous American huntress Catherine, who is called the Witch of Hellfire. Many are seeing her in person for the first time. Catherine laments that no one sends her a request for a duel, apparently because she has 17 wins and 0 losses. The window tells her that the administrator, the Fire Lord, laughingly considers this nonsense. Catherine comes to the conclusion that there are only cowards around. It is time to leave. But suddenly a request for a duel comes from Sunny Han from Korea, who is ranked 3rd. He has not yet participated in arena battles. The girl confirms her consent to the duel. The opponents are transported to the Colosseum for battle. Catherine praises the boy's fighting spirit, but advises him to watch his opponent first. Khan says nothing. The system announces the start of the fight between Catherine Bennett and Sunny Khan. The girl asks to consider the upcoming duel a good experience. She activates the power of Birth of Fire. A pillar of flame shoots out from her hands toward Sunny. Katrina threatens her rival with swift reprisals. Han activates the power of Sword Master Key. The flames are cut by his sword like paper. Sunny doesn't let up. Katrina is very surprised and does not hide it. She never expected her fire to go out so quickly. The American's confident, superior smile fades. Sunny kindly promises to give the girl a good experience during this duel. An idyllic bamboo grove raises its slender trunks to the sky. A well-kept courtyard with a fountain invites you to calm contemplation. The aromatic tea is slowly sipped, the perfect drink for the process of contemplation. The progress of the first duel between challenger Sunny Khan. The White Crane Sword Administrator didn't expect that the boy would already master the released key energy. She is extremely pleased that she sponsored this excellent force, and from now on, she intends to gain Khan's favor before all the administrators. Because there is a chance that Sunny will be the one to fulfill her longtime dream, which she was unable to achieve. The duel continues. Columns of fire are approaching the guy from 3 sides. The guy activates instant acceleration and takes off. But the fiery pillars follow their target with the tenacity of hounds. Sunny cuts through fire on the fly. While the guy clears the space in front of him, the fire insidiously creeps up from behind and instantly devours the hem of his cloak. The guy is seriously upset by this turn of events. Catherine is already ready to launch a new batch of fireballs. The girl is curious how long the enemy can hold out. Admin Lord of Iron Blood examines the flames close up. Admin White Crane Sword hopes for Khan. Admin Black Devil laughs, looking at the power of the fire element. The power of Chi Swordmaster was activated 4 minutes ago, and mana consumption increased by 8%. Dragging out the fight was simply not profitable. Sunny absorbs Saul's spirit, increasing stats: stamina +2, mana +3, endurance +3, agility +1, strength +2. In the process, Saul's B-class skill, Lightning Chi Sword, is absorbed. Using Chi, lightning bolts appear at the tip of the sword. The power of the Chi energy also increases, and this makes it possible to perform a cleaving strike. Khan wonders if it will be possible to launch the Chi over a distance. Catherine is furious, saying that the opponent has time to be distracted by something other than the fight. From all sides, fiery swords are looking at the guy. The fire rushes towards Sunny, who runs away. You have to fight off several swords. Fortunately, the guy is not afraid of burns, since the Ashen Blood skill is immediately activated. Sunny doesn't know if his attempt will be successful the first time, but decides to practice by activating the power of the Chi Swordmaster along with the Lightning Chi Sword skill. The guy throws a punch, which at first puzzles Catherine. Then the American woman panics and sets up a shield. It would seem that the idea with the shield is quite successful. If Sunny Khan's blade hadn't been pressed against the girl's neck, Catherine Bennett admits her opponent's incredible strength and her defeat. The window confirms the victory, the receipt of the storm skill of Class C+ promised by Catherine, and moves to the arena area of the 10th floor. Initially, Sunny just wanted to hone his sword skills in the arena and did not expect to meet a strong opponent, much less burn the hem of his cloak. The Tempest skill is disappointing. It only deals with thrusting and not swordplay in general. Khan feels cheated. With only 1 win in the arena so far, Sunny confirms his next duel with the competitor ranked 11th in Japan. The Japanese was looking forward to the fight with the 3rd-ranked Korean, but his opponent looks like a bum and he is disappointed. Sunny just smirks silently in response. The Japanese man wonders what the guy is laughing about. Khan explains he is amused that they have the same thoughts. The Japanese immediately flares up like a match. Enraged, the opponent attacks Sunny, completely ineffective. Sunny is surprised at how weak the Japanese man seems to him, and he immediately puts the opponent down. The window announces the victory due to heavy damage. Here the guy realizes that he has a Klondike of skills in front of him. He defeats his 3rd opponent in no time. The 4th opponent suffers the same fate. With his 5th win, Sunny earns the Duel Master achievement, increasing his strength by 2. The central lands of Murim are picturesque mountains covered with forests. At their foot, in the bamboo thicket, a guy is meditating on a stone, but his concentration is broken by the presence of an assistant. He reports to the young master about the death of Master Saul. Not long ago it became possible to connect to the Earth dimension, and Saul died during a floor-by-floor implantation on Earth. The young master senses the approach of his long-awaited rival. A huge and ferocious spiritual beast appears. The young gentleman does not move from his place, but notices that 5 years ago he stopped climbing to the top of the tower. He extends his hand. Immediately the sword, stuck into the stone, begins to vibrate and glow in response to the movement. And then it ends up in the hand of the young gentleman, over whom the beast has already opened its mouth. The gentleman crushing the stone soars upward. His figure looks like a midge against the background of a grinning animal face. The young master plunges his sword into the beast's head, killing the giant with one blow. The assistant watches with goosebumps as the young master easily deals with the powerful creature. The young master is interested to hear about the earthly dimension. He orders that they find out at any cost who exactly killed Master Saul. Sonny returns from the common area to the 10th floor waiting room. The first thing the guy does is happily fall onto the bed, although upon entering the room his fatigue vanished as if by magic. The power of Steel Wings Class C Plus costs 1,500 special points, but allows you to create wings with high flight speed using mana. At the moment, Sonny only has 500 special points left, so buying a new power with a fairy tale ability will have to wait. The guy activates the unique power of skill synthesis and begins experimenting with the skills he won in the arena. Combines Sonny for about an hour. As a result, the skills Defense Counterattack Shield of Class B, Movement Speed, Secret Shadow Step of Class C Plus are created. A new C Plus skill, Attack Speed Furious Swordplay, has also been created. Sonny activates a counterattack shield. The new skill looks impressively powerful. Without further ado, Khan enters the 10th floor with the theme Cooperation. 3 hours are given to prevent the darkness devouring Lord from rising again. Team Challenge. First place in the Korean server ranking, Sam Kim. Second place, Chong Lee. Third place, Hunter. And with 6th place goes to Sudi Ganyu, who, as Sonny remembers, is stirring up trouble in the general chat. Once all 4 team members have assembled, a 30-minute grace period begins. Sam is indignant that the combined tests are already boring. Chan is clearly familiar with him in earthly life. The guy with the strange nickname points his finger at Khan, accusing him of meeting him on the 4th floor. Sonny can't understand what all this is about. Sam wonders if the hunters crossed paths during the test, because from Sudi's reaction, it was an unpleasant encounter. Sudi Ganyu agrees with Sam and begins to tremble. He states that Sonny is one of those who grows by getting achievements for killing. John, under the nickname Sudi Ganyu, constantly deceives those around him. His favorite survival tactic is to stir up conflict, turning everyone against each other so he can take the prize himself. This is a tactic John uses constantly both in the earthly world and in the Tower of Trials. Admin Lying Clown often laughs at his contractor's deceptions. John can tell from Sonny's expression that he is confused and decides to add more fuel to the fire. Sudi Ganyu claims that the guy brutally killed members of his own team. Sonny calmly asks what kind of nonsense the blonde guy is talking about. Sam takes his hammer out of his inventory. He prefers a threesome with great teamwork to a foursome where everyone is on their own. The leader of the rating intends to find out who is telling the truth in order to exclude the liar from the team. Sonny figures that the worst-case scenario would be to have to fight 3 participants at once. Jong calls for everyone to calm down and reminds them that Sudi Ganyu met the hunter on the 4th floor, and the nickname system originated from the 5th floor. Therefore, the prosecutor must know the hunter's real name. If Sudi Ganyu names it, everything will become clear at once. John, fully confident that it is impossible to confirm his name here, shouts out the name Matt Hall. Chan asks if there is anything to say to Matt Hall. Sonny declares that this is not funny at all and takes out his hunting license from his bosom, which he accidentally forgot to take off at home. Sudi Ganyu visibly tenses up at the sight of the official document. Sam, hammer in hand, declares that it is now clear who should be excluded from the team. Admin Lying Clown clicks his tongue at the contractor's clumsiness. Admin Argument Expert laughs at John's conversational skills. Admin Darkwatcher snorts at the results. Admin Liefinder rejoices at John's stupidity, who realizes that he has fallen into his own trap. Sonny apologizes, but intends to settle the matter on his own. Because at the moment the guy is just furious. Sam doesn't mind. John is surprised by the hunter's stupidity. If he is killed, there is a chance to survive himself, although the team looks at him with disgust. Khan suggests that John should be held accountable for the stupid things he said, but the blonde boy objects that he has no idea about responsibility. Sudigonyu cares only about his own survival, because it's not just the hunter who has power. Sunny feels his legs wrapped in the stems of the swamp spirit. The guy activates magic resistance and the stems are completely destroyed. The freed Khan attacks. John is annoyed that the enemy has a magic resistance skill. The guy's attack is met by Sudigonyu's shield. Sam suggests that Young move away, but Lee likes to watch the battle up close, so he can better feel the struggle of the opponents. However, Sam is not inclined to listen to and tolerate his friend's whims because he believes that caution is not superfluous. John screams for Sunny to die and launches glowing discs towards Khan. The guy avoids contact with these things, and he rushes to the blonde guy to give him a good beating, but John chuckles maliciously, saying that the hunter becomes the prey. The glowing discs previously launched by the enemy have become spheres and are rushing towards Sunny in a swarm. They catch up with the guy. John chuckles happily that there was no need to pretend to be a tough fighter, but then his mood changes dramatically, because Sunny activates a counterattack shield that absorbs a quarter of the damage and is then able to release it. The guy asks the blonde guy not to be surprised, saying that everything is still ahead. John doesn't understand what the hell is going on, how his technique is so easily blocked. Sunny goes on the attack again. The blonde guy guesses that things smell like kerosene. Rocks fall on the guy, which doesn't really slow him down. Watching Sunny cut through rocks with his sword, Jong asks if Sam knows who this hunter is. Sam doesn't know of such a thing among high-ranking hunters. Jong thinks the hunter could just be an ordinary person. Sam agrees that unless the guy is a high-ranking hunter, becoming that strong is no easy task. And in Sam's opinion, the strangest thing is that at the moment Sunny Khan is not fighting the enemy at full strength. Sam suspects that the hunter's level is comparable to his own. Chan notes that Hunter is only ranked 3rd. Sam believes that if Han was getting weaker teams in the combined challenges, the tower may have simply underestimated him. Sunny knocks the grimoire out of Sudigon's hand. He screams at the top of his lungs throughout the entire 10th floor. The liar kneels before the hunter. Sam is surprised that the guy didn't kill the enemy right away, but overwhelms him with superiority as if it costs him nothing. Sunigonyu begs the hunter not to kill him, as the test is designed for 4 team members. And they have a team of the best players. What if the 3 of them simply can't pass this test? Sunny turns to the rest of the team to get their opinion. Sam promises not to interfere, let the hunter do as he sees fit. The moment Sunny turns away, John draws his sword in an attempt to attack, which really pisses the guy off, and signs his own death warrant. Sunny doesn't understand what exactly just happened. Judge Gon had to use his trump card and activate the unique characteristic Deception, which increases all stats by 10. John yells that he will finish off his opponent. Sunny activates his shield. Sudigonyu's attack simply falls apart. Khan activates the Grace of Wind, increasing all speed by 40%. The guy puts a shield in front of himself. He became convinced that it would be more dangerous to leave such a scoundrel alive than to try to pass the test with 3 people. Then the skill shield counterattack releases the accumulated damage. The wave of energy simply wipes out John, which leaves behind a bloody B+ class Sky Demonic Blade with attack speed +10 and reaction speed +7. The blade is a treasure of the Murim Blood Demon School. The chi energy in the blood envelops its blade, making the sword one with the mana in the owner's veins. The old class, a tailcoat of the Vampire Count Callion, is also undamaged, with movement speed +8 and mana regeneration +12. The team now consists of 3 fighters. Jong admires Han's fight. Everyone agrees that the misunderstandings have been resolved. The candidates move forward. The window announces that there are 10 minutes left until the test begins. The huge statue of a warrior on horseback is downright alarming. Its realism suggests the possibility that the statue will come to life. Sunny notices a huge head tied with chains, wearing a golden crown and with empty eye sockets. The guy clearly has a premonition that is not positive. The team arrives at the central square, where there is a throne on which sits a huge, headless statue. There are 3 more statues of warriors in chains in the square, which gives Sunny a bad feeling. The darkness-devouring lord appears to be the headless statue. The window warns of the beginning of the test and the appearance of a squad of dark guards. At the same moment, the chains fly off the giant statues, and the huge warriors, the guards, are torn from their places. Living statues rush towards the team from all sides. Sam would have been happy to stretch his legs. Sunny notices that the guards are dragging a head on chains, and the most important thing is to not let them get close to the boss with this head. Sam assigns each squad member to take on 1 guard. The team is faced with 3 specific goals. Sunny plans to deal with him in 1 attack using his chi sword, but the guard manages to strike first, which Khan successfully parries. The statue uses chi energy. Sam also gets a tough opponent. One of the revived guards tries to break through to the Lord to put his head on him. The attempt is successfully thwarted by Sam, who understands that each of the guards is at the level of a boss. Sam urges the team to keep their eyes open. Chan's voice counters that it was Sam himself who managed to let his guard down. Chan himself is shown wearing an invisibility hat, which he does not like to wear, believing that hats do not suit him. Chong draws his bowstring and declares that the guard will pay with his life for forcing him to wear the hat. However, the enemy is not defeated and continues to approach. Chan admits that melee combat is most effective against wizards, but this only applies to regular wizards. Sunny admits that he has only faced weak opponents before, but the sight of his team members is simply inspiring. The main thing is not to fail in comparison to them. The guy uses force and throws boulders at the guard. Sunny activates Wind's Grace, increasing all speed by 50%, and runs behind the Guardian's leg as he smashes rocks. This activates the skill Secret Shadow Walk, increasing strength by 3. This skill is triggered by stepping on the enemy's shadow. To attack, Han activates Frantic Swordplay and Key Sword Master. During the attack, the chain holding the Overlord's head is broken, and the head itself is damaged. Sam uses Depth Charge on an enemy. At the same time, the head on the chains of his guard also suffers. Chan attacks his target with lightning speed. The wizard soars upward and strikes the enemy. The third guard's head on chains is also broken. With their heads chained off, the 3 guards simply run away in the opposite direction. The team decides to leave the square and rushes after the guards. Suddenly, Sunny hears a new sound. Hearing this, the guards kneel. This is the largest and most terrible statue that was near the entrance, rushing without touching the ground. The horse is practically at the foot of the Lord's throne. Sam rushes after them with a hammer at the ready. Sunny realizes that it is too late to run after the rider, and he pushes off from the saddle, hoping to place his head on the Lord's shoulders in a giant leap. The guy swings his arm to strike, into which he puts all his despair and hope. The statue is almost complete with the missing element, but then the stone head is hit by a blast of chi energy from the guy. The stunned rider stands empty-handed, and the crown of the statue falls dramatically at his feet. The rider lets out an inhuman cry of hatred. Chan squeals like, "How cool!" Han watches the rider warily. The horseman lifts a golden crown from the ground, and without thinking twice, he places it on his own head. The king is dead. Long live the king. Then, with his own spear, he cuts off his own head with a wild cry. None of the team members expected this turn of events. All 3 simultaneously rush towards the rider, who must be stopped immediately, and he already holds his severed head with the crown in his outstretched arms, intending to put it back in place. 3 challengers attack simultaneously. The severed head is almost in place, but an explosion occurs. The window informs about the resurrection of the darkness-devouring Lord. The system issues a special task: destroy the Lord. The system announces that any damage is nullified by the Overlord's power immunity. Only members with higher stats can deal damage. This is the first time Sunny hears about monsters being able to use powers. The new Lord throws the sword in his hand. Then he hits the area with it, scattering people to the sides. Sunny is outraged by cheating. After all, if you can't deal damage, then the team can't do anything. The ruler with his burning eyes looms over with his enormous bulk, like a rock. Sunny almost dodges the Lord's sword strike. While the regeneration is working, he laments that the problem fell on them because they failed to complete the mission correctly. Behind the Lord's back, 3 guards rise menacingly. Sam clarifies that the guy is fine. Han suggests coming up with a plan to strike at the Overlord, but first they need to get rid of his guards. Sunny asks to distract the Lord's attention for a moment. Sam objects that they won't do any damage to the Overlord. So shouldn't they start with the guards? Sunny had an idea on how to kill the Overlord. Sam agrees to trust the guy, and a couple of friends desperately rush at the Lord, fully aware that they will not be able to hold out for long. Sunny tells the 3 Guardians that they will have to play with him. Sam launches his depth charge at the Overlord. However, the damage is negated by the monster's immunity. Sam admits with regret that this is what he expected. The monster activates the Power Master's Majesty, which forces everyone to show respect to the Master. Any actions that are contrary to respect are blocked. Jong and Sam kneel involuntarily. The ruler strikes the ground with his sword. The shockwave reaches almost to the kneeling hunters. Sam activates the magic resistance skill, which only partially removes the body block. Here the friends are covered by the shockwave of the Lord. Sam shields Chan with his body, taking the brunt of the powerful blow on his back. Blood is seeping from under the leader's mask, and he is only standing thanks to Chan's support. Lee raises his head. Directly above them stands the Lord, his sword raised to strike. Sam doesn't have the strength to lift his head, and Chan, gritting his teeth, continues to support his comrade. The Lord's sword is practically above the boys' heads. Sunny appears in front of them and manages to block the sword strike with his shield, covering the team. The Khan apologizes for being late. His shield withstands the onslaught of the giant sword. The guy increases his stats by absorbing available spirits: stamina +4, mana +6, endurance +3, agility +3, strength +4. Then the skill counterattack shield releases the absorbed damage. Sunny activates the skill Lightning Chi Sword and the power Chi Sword Master. The guy strikes back at the Overlord. Moreover, it causes quite significant damage. The Lord screams in rage, turning on his signature move, the power of the Lord's greatness. Sunny involuntarily bends to one knee. The guy immediately activates the skills Resistance to Magic and Forced Breakthrough. Khan gets to his feet. The window informs that all blockages have been removed, and the skills Forced Breakthrough, Magic Resistance, and Magic Chain are increased to rank C. The Lord is a strong opponent who is not so easy to put down, but despite the ambiguity of the situation, the guy just wants to laugh. The desire to become even stronger burns in Sunny's chest like an eternal flame, and he attributes laughter to the anticipation of an imminent victory over the Overlord. Sam and Chan support each other and see that the guy is acting like a monster. Sam never thought he would look at someone's back and not fight, but friends consider it necessary to congratulate Khan, who is now clearly in first place in the ranking. The window informs that the counterattack shield has absorbed the maximum possible amount of damage energy. Sunny reduces the shield's area of effect to increase energy density, and then releases the accumulated damage. The battered Lord doesn't look so smug. Sunny activates the Grace of the Wind, increasing all speed by 70%. The skill cooldown is activated for 1 day. The guy rushes into the attack and knocks off the head of the latest version of the Overlord, which had been on his shoulders for a short time. Lord Steelblood watches as the darkness-devouring Lord is defeated by her contractor. The administrator is pleased with the crazy growth rate that the guy is demonstrating. She knows very well that usually the participants do not take risks and climb 1 floor at a time, training for a long time and preparing carefully so as not to take risks. But Sunny Khan is simply brilliantly talented, which is rare in all 4 dimensions. He is like the living embodiment of the desire to grow. The only problem Lord sees is that other administrators will inevitably begin to show increasing interest in Khan. So she decides to build a more trusting relationship with Sunny before the other administrators get ahead of her. This is simply necessary for the fulfillment of her cherished desire. The golden crown, shattered by the impact, falls to the ground at the same time as the system reports the death of the darkness-devouring lord. Khan was awarded 60,000 points and 1,000 special points for the breakthrough, 1,000 special points as a bonus. For the special task, another 1,500 special points and 10,000 points. Chan doesn't understand at all how Sunny pulled off the destruction of the Overlord. Khan explains that it was due to a skill that was appropriate for the situation and luck. Sam admits that the guy really surprised them and suggests discussing it in detail in the chat. Chan and Sam send Sunny friend requests. In the waiting room, the latest system expansion allows for the purchase of dimension travel. Khan feels that this is akin to suicide. From now on, you can communicate with the administrator even in the waiting room. An additional contract with the administrator is available. The additional contract can be terminated at any time. Sunny doesn't understand the point of it because the administrator will be the loser. The first thing he decides to do is deal with the trophies he received on the 10th floor. There is a B+ grade mastery enhancement potion given out as a reward, which can randomly increase the skill level by 20%. Sunny drinks it immediately and chooses to upgrade the skill Wind's Grace, which becomes Class A instead of A. The daily recharge time is now removed. Then Khan absorbs the Overlord's soul to increase stats: stamina +5, mana +7, endurance +4, agility +4, strength +5. The Overlord's A, class mana control skill, is also absorbed, removing most of the limitations of mana control. Sunny will be able to control mana as someone with innate talent. Here, invitations to visit the domains of the administrators of the Lord of Steel Blood and the Sword of the White Crane come to him at the same time. The fact that both invitations come at the same time and several times puzzles Sunny greatly. The guy accepts his administrator's invitation and is transported to the world of Steel Blood, where he is greeted by a familiar field of swords in the snow. Sunny remembers the way to the house. Suddenly, the door swings open and he is greeted by a laughing administrator in flip-flops and a dress. She was sure that the guy would choose her invitation. With that, she won the bet. And Sunny wondered why the invitations kept coming at the same time. The guy clarifies that the administrator is not cold. She wonders why the guy does not ask about anything. Sunny asks to tell about the skill Mana Management. Admin is glad. It is a strong skill. The Lord explains that this skill maximizes the magical power in the boy's body. Khan immediately decides to try out the acquisition. The A-class magic control skill is immediately activated and affects the magic circuit in the boy's body. As a result, the skill Magic Chain D is forcibly increased, and Sunny feels like all his physical criteria are improving several times over. He immediately decides to find out experimentally and pounds the ground with all his might. Swords and snow fly in all directions, and also the shockwave of air, which tears off everything that was weakly held, opening up an unlimited view. At home, over a cup of tea and some snacks, Lord notices that Sunny doesn't look like the type of guy who likes jokes like that. The guy chokes on his tea and explains that it was an unforeseen misunderstanding. The admin giggles and advises to periodically try to activate skills that use mana through mana management. This skill will stimulate the growth of all skills that consume mana. The Lord clarifies that the boy received a notification about the expansion of the system. That is why Sunny did not come here through the tower. The real reason is not to expand the area of intervention, but to ensure that the admins can grow their contractors. The Lord snaps his fingers. A strip of light appears. The window informs that the Lord is transferring power to the contractor. Next comes the message that the power of the Class A Steel Blood Sword is engraved on the soul. Sunny wonders if the admin could just transfer power before. The girl explains that she paid the tower's price for this power herself. The guy asks why the administrator is so actively helping him. The Lord sees a huge opportunity in his contractor. Sunny asks him to explain what that means. Admins are rewarded for the development of their contractors, but admins invest in participants to fulfill their cherished desires. Here come 3 invitations in a row from the administrator of the White Crane Sword. The Lord decides to finish his explanations with a smile for those who are very impatient. The main thing is that she has transferred the power. Sunny is transported to another administrator's domain. The window announces the entrance to the forest. Khan is in a bamboo grove. Right there, a perfect clearing for training turns up. Sunny can't wait to master the new method that Lord taught her. Han activates mana control and increases his 3 absolute skill proficiency by 8%, and instant acceleration changes from C to B class. The guy then increases his counterattack shield skill by 7%. Sunny intends to increase his key sword mastery as well. However, this is the skill he cannot activate through mana management. The guy tries several times, but it's all in vain. Sunny thinks that it might be because Chi Sword Master is a power and not a skill. He decides to put off the issue of improving his Chi skill mastery. Moreover, the window reminds us that the White Crane Sword is awaiting a visit. Sunny expects that, judging by the title, this administrator will be the same old man as the murdered Saul. The guy is simply stunned when a teenage girl appears before his eyes. She introduces herself and adds that she has been waiting for a long time for a contender like Sunny to appear. Seeing the unfading surprise on the guest's face, the admin asks what's going on. Khan moves away, saying he's surprised to see someone he's only been texting with. Sunny sits down next to him on the surprisingly refreshing floor. The admin had been watching the guy from here since the fight with Saul on the 9th floor. The guy asks if it's wasteful to sponsor a contestant they've only seen once. The girl assures him that Khan is simply underestimating himself. Saul did not reach the highest rank of mastery of Chi energy, but was considered a strong warrior of Murim. He lost some of his strength when he entered the tower, but defeating him was a feat. The girl adds that she should be trusted because Saul was her contractor. Sunny's mouth drops open in surprise. The guy immediately became wary, because the administrator could be seriously offended by him. "Girl, forgive me for not making things worse. It was just good to get points at Saul's expense." Over the course of her long life, she signed contracts with many suitors, but never invited any of them to her personal estate. That was until she saw Sunny through watching Saul. The administrator asks to conclude an additional contract with her. The guy is interested in what benefits this signing will bring him. The girl will then be able to make Khan an apostle of the White Crane Sword Administrator. Sunny doesn't know anything about this phrase. An apostle in the tower is a member who has a special relationship with the administrator because you can only choose an apostle once in your life. In addition, only the members chosen by the apostles can obtain all the powers that their administrator has. Sunny only now understands the importance of the patronage agreement, which the Lord of Steel Blood decided not to tell. Khan knows that the contract can be broken at any time, and does not understand why the girl is offering him patronage that is granted only once in a lifetime. Like the Lord of Steel Blood, she chose Sunny to fulfill her cherished wish. To perform it, she needs the best and sharpest sword in the world, which simply cannot become dull or break. And in Sunny Han, she sees potential beyond any sword. The guy remembers that Lord also mentioned a cherished wish. It is hardly something simple and banal. He asks, "What is a cherished wish?" At these words, the girl's gaze instantly filled with bottomless sadness. On the one hand, the administrator's cherished wish is based on memories of past regrets. On the other hand, it is a right that the tower gives to the administrator. This desire is like a test that the admin can give to the contractor. And if the cherished wish comes true, the contractor receives a reward. If a wish comes true, it is even possible to change events from the past. Sunny counters that this is simply impossible. The girl wonders if the floors he's gone through haven't taught the guy that anything is possible in the tower. Khan agrees that when it comes to the Tower of Trials, nothing is impossible. The guy asks how high he has to climb to make her cherished wish come true. The administrator is sure that this must be at least the top floor. Sunny signs an additional contract with the White Crane Sword, who jumps for joy and promises that the guy won't have to regret it. Thus, Sunny finds out that in order to fulfill the administrator's cherished wish, it is necessary to get to the top of the Tower of Trials. Admin recognizes Khan as an apostle. Murim's powers and measurement skills increase by 10%. Mana increases by 3. The window informs that the guy is an apostle of 2 administrators. His dexterity increases by 3. Sunny also receives a gift. The girl wonders if the Lord of Steel Blood warned about who is looking for Sunny. She is outraged that the Lord relies so much on the boy's powers that she did not consider it necessary to warn him. The administrator clarifies that the question forms that Khan has will be used up for her story. Sunny doesn't use forms that just pile up in his inventory, so he doesn't mind. The window informs that all tickets will be used up. The guy becomes wary. Apparently the conversation will be important. The admin says that in the world of Murim, the most powerful force is the Murim Union, and Sol, whom Khan killed on the 9th floor, was an important commander. Given Sol's high status, there are people looking for Sunny. The guy asks if the Murim Union will now pursue him. The girl explains that there is currently strife in the Union over the vacant command post, and the Namgung family's dragon sword, Hank Namgung, harbored a grudge against the guy. A dimensional portal opens in Tokyo from which Hank emerges. The Murim dimension is obsessed with martial arts, and Hank is considered a genius there. It is Hank who is looking for Sunny under the guise of revenge, but in reality he is just curious. It is not known when this will happen, but the collision is inevitable. And when Sunny faces Namgung, he must be prepared to risk his life. The puzzled guy returns to the waiting room. He is being sought by a psychopathic killer from another bloodthirsty dimension. Sunny buys the power Steel Wings for 1,500 special points and a stone of return to Earth. The guy thinks that he has to level up like crazy before he faces Hank Namgung. Sunny finds himself at home, where the first thing he does is check his phone. From Lika, 132 missed calls and 87 unread messages urgently go to the Hunters Association. Something obviously happened during his absence from Earth. Sunny activates new Steel Wings, and he rushes to the Hunters Association. There is a crowd of hunters near the building. Everyone is making noise. The mobilization is not yet forced, but it is not clear what will happen to Japan after the bloodthirsty invasion. People raise their heads in surprise. Sunny lands to amazed looks. The guy asks for forgiveness and runs inside the building, and the assembled hunters cannot believe their eyes, because the guy literally flew in. Khan is met by Lika and the hunter rescued in the common area. In connection with the incident in Japan, Lika was worried that the guy would immediately rush there alone. The hunter turns on the monitor so the guy can see everything for himself. Video from body cameras of Japanese hunters. The Japan Hunters Association detected a portal generation wave in Tokyo and dispatched a response team of 7 A-rank hunters to the scene. A man appeared from the portal and killed 6 hunters in a couple of seconds. Apparently this is a challenger from another dimension. Sunny clarifies that the hunters who just left refused to form a support group for Japan. The situation is unprecedented. Korea, like most countries, protects its hunters to prevent an outflow of people. They do not advise supporting Japan. The only surviving hunter recorded until the end. In the video, the man begs for mercy. Namgung towers over him like a monster, his eyes blazing, and then he declares that he, the dragon sword Hank Namgung, has come to avenge Sol. Sunny didn't expect the meeting the administrator had warned about to happen so soon. Lika wonders why Khan is so worried, since the mobilization is not forced. They haven't seen each other for a long time, and she suggests having lunch together. Lika asks if Sunny will go to Japan. Khan will answer the call and go to Tokyo. Lika yells that he always behaves recklessly. Sunny thanks the girl for her concern. However, in this case, the problem will have to be resolved by him personally. As a boy, Hank wondered why no one he knew understood the sound of a sword. Peers did not like to spar with a boy who attacked too hard. At the age of 13, Hank mastered the released chi energy. The mentor called the boy a master of the sword and acknowledged that the student had surpassed the teacher's achievements. But he also said that martial arts are a way of excellence, not of hurting people. It is forbidden to hurt others without reason. Hank was then summoned by the Tower of Trials to be among the strongest warriors in the world of Murim. At the age of 17, the young gentleman reached the 20th floor of the tower, but he was not satisfied with the solo ascent. Hank was missing something. Hank Namgung loved the floor invasions the most because, contrary to his mentor's orders, what he found most fun was killing people. But over time, he became dissatisfied with the death of idiots, and in Murim he cannot kill whenever he wants. Namgung has a strong feeling that Sunny Han will relieve his boredom. The guy flies to Japan, where he is met by a representative of the Hunters Association. Sunny is invited into the hall where the hunters who have already arrived are waiting. There he sees his test team on the 10th floor. Sam expected Han to arrive sooner. Sunny heard that the guys were going to come, but he doesn't believe that there will be only 3 of them. Sam heard that a challenger from America is about to join. Khan explains that the 3 of them are very strong, but the invader from Murim is simply a monster. Perhaps even the 3 of them will not be able to defeat him. The participant who arrived from America turns out to be Catherine Bennett. Catherine regrets that she met the guy under such circumstances. Sunny is sure that they would not have met otherwise. The girl explains that she simply meant a normal environment. Khan counters that they encountered each other in a place far from normal. Catherine calls the guy a hard-hearted cracker. Sam notes that the altercation resembles a lover's quarrel. Sunny says no way, which irritates Catherine even more. She thinks it would have been enough to simply say no. The girl who greeted us introduces herself as Arena, the president of the Japanese Hunters Association. Sunny mistook her for a regular employee at the airport. Apparently, Japan is in a serious crisis with hunters. Arena explains that the situation is extremely serious, so there will be no one else from other countries. Chan is shocked that only 4 people from all over the world agreed to help. Catherine also didn't think it was that bad. Arena sincerely thanks the 4 hunters who arrived and bows to them as a sign of gratitude. Sunny asks the president to raise his head because it is not the time to bend his back. Catherine is in shock. Apparently the guy is not that callous. Khan asks Arena to provide them with a higher reward instead of bowing. Sunny wants the reward to be doubled. Catherine is convinced that the guy is completely heartless, as she initially thought. But Han clearly understands that he did not come for heroism, but for the growth and reward that he will receive for killing Hank Namgung. The president recognizes the intruder as an unusual monster and agrees to double the reward. Arena believes that their chances are increasing thanks to Catherine. Bennett has flame suppression. If he touches a stronger opponent with his flame, his stats will drop by 10 and some skills will be blocked. This power of Catherine's can change the course of a battle if she manages to touch an invader. That is, the team must create a situation so that the girl has such a chance. The team flies to the site of the invasion. At the same time, a Chinese hunter arrived, who went there alone. From the outside, it looks like they're talking, which is entirely possible because all the tower's challengers understand each other, no matter what dimension they're from. Hank finds out that the hunter who appeared is not Sunny Khan. He introduces himself as Pete from China, who intends to wean the Murim challenger off his disdainful attitude towards the earthly dimension. Namgung is depressed that the one he is looking for does not come, but some bugs keep crawling. Pete uses dash and hits Hank in the jaw. The intruder becomes slightly interested when confronted with the fist technique. The Murim warrior's response follows immediately. The guys see from the helicopter that the Chinese hunter has entered into a fight alone. Sunny asks if Catherine will be able to land safely if she ends up in the air. She doesn't understand what he's talking about. The girl has a skill called Purity Jump that will prevent her from getting injured when falling. The guy is quite happy with this. If Sunny's plan works, he will be able to deal a significant blow to the enemy, and at that moment Catherine's power must be activated. Khan announces that they are leaving and grabs the stunned American woman in his arms. They fly down on Sunny's steel wings. Zhang notices that Han is trying to do everything alone again. Sam agrees that they can't just watch from the sidelines. And the guys also jump out of the helicopter. Catherine screams that the guy is crazy because you can't jump out of a helicopter without an explanation. Sunny is glad that the hunter from China angered Hank. Catherine is convinced that the guy simply does not listen to her. The girl leaves Khan hanging at a height, and the guy continues his descent. At this time, Pete and the intruder come together, clearly not in favor of the Earthling. Namgung is disappointed that the hunter uses fist techniques without being able to concentrate chi energy in his fist, and he hits Pete, who is thrown back by the force of the blow. At this moment, the intruder notices something. This is where Sunny comes into play. Hank is thrown aside. Namgung immediately rises to his feet, with a damaged hand. The opponents stand opposite each other. Hank wonders who this person is. Sunny explains with a smile that the warrior from Murim was looking for him himself, but now he doesn't recognize him. The guy activates the power of Chi Sword Master. Namgung is annoyed. He was looking forward to meeting him to find out who killed Saul, and here it is just a small use of fake art of released ki. Hank is simply furious with disappointment. Sunny decides to attack first while the enemy is unarmed. However, the invader only appears to be unarmed. The direct clash is quite serious. The guy expected that he would have inflicted more damage on the enemy from the air. Sunny activates the skill Ash Blood. The counterattack shield is damaged in one hit, so its reflective ability cannot be counted on. Hank comments on the enemy's healing, saying that he relies entirely on the techniques he learned in the Tower of Trials. Sunny activates the skill Lightning Chi Sword and strikes, which doesn't impress Namgung at all. Meanwhile, Sam and Chan arrive and attack the intruder from behind, but he repels their joint attack without even looking. At this moment, Catherine tries to use her flame suppression power, which simply does not activate. Hank Namgung stands on a lamppost and declares that the insignificant bugs have made him extremely angry. He intends to crush everyone here with an attack that cannot be repelled. Chan shouts for everyone to dodge. The White Crane sword presented the boy with a gift. She took his hand and said that she was introducing ordinary mana. But there was more going on than just the transfer of mana. In this way, a special connection is established. The administrator asked the guy how he felt. At first, Sunny simply felt a surge of mana. But then there was a feeling that the administrator was inside him. The girl is happy, which means Sunny will be able to apply this ability to his sword. She asked to conduct a trial training session after some time so that she would not be punished for excessive interference from the administrator. A column of energy rises above the intruder. Hank raises his glowing sword. The window informs that the chi energy is released by enlightenment, not by force or skill, which is the first time this has happened in the earthly dimension. Sunny gains the achievement Unification of Body and Sword, and the increase in mana consumption from the Sword Master Ki power is removed. The guy clarifies that the guys are all safe. Catherine saw with her own eyes how Sunny completely neutralized Namgung's most powerful attack with one chopping blow. Both opponents looked like monsters. The three hunters are simply in shock. Hank, his eyes shining, screams that he should have acted this way from the very beginning, otherwise he almost got disappointed. Since childhood, the more complex the sandcastle was, the more fun it was for him to destroy the structure. And Sunny is convinced that although all the invaders he met were strange and annoying, this specimen is a pure psychopath. The guy repels the attack, and then he asks the guys to move to a safe place because he will lose concentration if he is protecting them and not just thinking about the fight. Sam admits the guy is right. Just like the last test, there's nothing they can do to help. He promises to let the girl know if he sees an opportunity for an attack that has a chance of success. The guys move away but ask the guy to be careful. The fight continues. The force of the impacts causes windows to fly out of buildings and cars to be thrown into the air. Flashes of energy cut through the sky over Tokyo, dealing collateral damage to surrounding buildings. The boys understand why Sunny asked them to move away. Catherine notices that Khan himself continues the duel on equal terms. Sam senses that Sunny is one step behind the intruder. The guy was confident that he could fight Hank by improving his chi skills. The administrator expressed the opinion that Hank's sword skills were at A rank, while Han's were at C rank. Without taking into account his skills, Hank Namgung is incredibly strong. The invader forces the opponent to kneel, and immediately asks if he is exhausted yet. Sonny realizes that he has used too much stamina to recover, and if he spends more, it will affect the level of the fight. Catherine throws a bottle of potion to the guy, which Sonny catches with gratitude, but Hank immediately knocks it out of the guy's hands. The laughing invader drinks the potion himself. Catherine is shocked. Chan regrets not adding poison to the potion. Sonny looks shabby. Namong laughs, saying that people always have something incomprehensible called hope, like, suddenly I can somehow defeat the enemy. And when human hope dies, despair appears on the enemy's face, and seeing this despair is the greatest pleasure for Hank. However, contrary to his expectations, the fight continues. The invader is infuriated by the fact that, contrary to common sense, hope does not fade in the Earthling's gaze. With a powerful blow, he throws Sonny aside. He lies, imprinted in a pile of stones. But he still looks at her with an unbroken gaze. Hank grits his teeth and wants his opponent to taste despair, and he swings the glowing sword at the guy's face. Khan's eyes as a sensory organ are currently out of order. The restoration works on stamina, which has now reached its limit. Khan understands that with all his strength he can only attack once, but it is impossible to attack without seeing anything. Catherine and Sam are running towards the guy as fast as they can. Sonny understands that if the guys get closer, they will simply die a miserable death. The Khan shouts that they must not come closer. Namong rejoices, believing that hope did not disappear from his gaze because the boy's comrades were alive. Catherine attacks with fire, but the intruder's glowing sword catches up with her back. Sam rushes to the girl's rescue. However, his attack is unsuccessful. Sam is also defeated. Sonny is desperate because he is unable to help now. Hank holds Catherine by the hair, like a kitten by the scruff of the neck. The girl screams at him to let her go. Catherine screams in searing pain. Namong smells Comrade Han's burning flesh. Sonny screams for the crazy pervert to stop immediately. Hank continues to torment the girl and laughs at what a wonderful expression Sonny has on her face. Chan sneaks up and places ice shackles on the intruder. He manages to snatch the girl from the hands of the temporarily shackled Hank. The trick of a nasty midge infuriates the Murim genius. Namong throws off the icy shackles, and he rushes after the people. Chong Li manages to place the injured girl in a Zorb ball, and throws the Zorb ball to the maximum possible distance, but he doesn't have time to activate his own invisibility. The hand of an angry intruder grabs him by the hair and tears off his hat. Hank hits Chan with his glowing sword. Sonny begins to indulge in evil pity, saying that he is as helpless as he was 7 years ago, and again cannot protect anyone. Here, tens of thousands of rats with glowing red eyes begin to flock from everywhere. Sensing the approach of disaster, they run to the surface from every crack in order to survive. Then Sonny makes the only attack he has left, and rat corpses start to litter the area. The guy restores his stamina by absorbing souls. Namong at the same time cuts off Sam's right arm. Sonny screams that Hank is a crazy Murim bastard, you have to know your limits. He waves his severed hand, saying that he doesn't want to know when to stop because he likes Khan's funny reaction. Don't underestimate China's resilience. Pete activates dash and slams into the invader. Fire suppression is activated, blocking Hank's flaming sword and swordplay for 10 minutes. Pete screams that he, the Chinese hero, is still alive. He delivered flame to Catherine Bennett, but is now taking his leave. Hank grabs his sword as usual, but the window reminds him of the skill block. The invader is furious that the midges are swarming in front of him until the very end. Namong turns on his power, battle of the strongest. A duel zone is formed around him and Sonny. No one will be able to approach them within a radius of 30 meters. The intruder looks forward to using his fist techniques now that fencing is blocked. After all, a blind opponent won't be able to oppose him anyway. And Sonny listens to his feelings, trying to remember from what moment he began to feel the growth of the spiritual eye. He believed it was a skill that allowed him to see beyond the line of sight. However, now he sees not only the wall within a radius of 30 meters, but also every blade of grass and pebble in this area. It turns out he simply never used the spiritual eye skill properly before. It feels like his third eye has opened. The window reports the realization of the true nature of the spiritual eye, which is upgraded to Class B. The Sixth Sense skill also increases from C+ to B, as does the Demon Slayer skill, and Ashblood becomes B+. Hank doesn't expect to get any pushback, and Sunny feels like he can now fight on equal terms while Namgung is weakened by Catherine's power. The invader is simply in shock. With every step and lunge, the enemy's movements become more precise and clear. Sunny activates the C+ class skill Shadow Walk, increasing her speed by 30%, and also activates Wind's Grace for the 7th time, increasing all speed by 70%, and adds instant acceleration to it. When the C+ class Frantic Swordplay skill is activated, attack speed increases by 20%. The guy is taking a big risk and he realizes it, because even using all the possibilities of his arsenal, he can hardly fight on almost equal terms. At the same time, Sunny's stamina will soon be at 0 again, while the enemy's blocked abilities will be restored after 10 minutes. There is an urgent need to change the course of close combat with a sudden variable. Han throws his sword at Hank. He laughs maliciously at his opponent's stupid decision, and immediately rushes towards him with his fist at the ready. The guy takes a more than hefty blow, but he was able to get close to the invader and activates the Steel Blood Sword, which enters the body of Namgung, who did not expect a trick, almost up to the hilt. The Murim warrior is pierced like a butterfly with a pin. His core of chi energy is touched. Here, the effects of flame suppression and battle of the strongest end simultaneously, and the duel zone is unlocked. Namgung admits that he got carried away this time and will have to finish this fight next time. The intruder activates the travel stone, a portal opens, and he is forced to leave if he wants to fully recover. All the guys instinctively feel at this moment that if they don't finish off the psychopath now, in the future it will result in a catastrophe for the Earth. The guys rush to the portal in the hopes of not letting the invader escape and recover in his dimension. Namgung's hearing and pride are hurt by the unusual word escape addressed to him. He immediately activates the flaming sword in a rage and strikes at the approaching guys. Even the red-haired fire mistress opens her mouth at the sight of the power of the approaching column of flame. The impact simply wipes out part of the block, leaving behind pitiful ruins from the majestic modern high-rises. Sunny puts his hand out in front of him, hoping to save the boys. But the window mercilessly informs him that the counterattack shield is out of action. It is impossible to reflect the damage, and a powerful shockwave simply tears the guy's arm off his shoulder. Catherine screams about losing her arm. Sunny yells at her not to pay attention because the enemy is still nearby. Hank Namgung claims he could have killed the guy with one blow. Does the enemy want him to finish the job? Sunny remains silent, gritting his teeth, because at the moment he has nothing to say to the psychotic intruder. He promises to return soon and enters the portal. The Khan falls backwards, exhausted, and his worried comrades run up to him. In the Murim dimension, servants rush to meet the young master. Namgung, covered in blood, leans on his knee and screams for a doctor. Now Hank is determined to plunge Sunny Khan into despair at any cost. The guy opens his eyes in a hospital near Tokyo. In front of him is a worried Arena, who explains that he can't make any sudden movements yet. The president of the Japanese Association is saddened by how badly Sunny was hurt. The girl doesn't know how to thank the guy for his enormous sacrifice. Han activates the Ashblood skill. His arm instantly regenerates, and he assures the astonished president that he is completely fine. Sunny decides to visit the guys. Next to him is Catherine's room, but the guy comes in to ask about her health at a completely inappropriate moment. A battered Chong Li is hobbling along in the corridor, complaining about his bitter fate. Chan immediately asks what's wrong with Sunny's face. He explains that he came to make sure Catherine Bennett was okay. However, Han did not find Sam in the room. Zhang also did not see his friend, but he believes that he is clearly in a depressed state. Sam lost his right arm. Khan finds him on the roof, greeting Sword Ghost. Sam notes that the guy never ceases to amaze, since he was even able to restore his hand with the help of the skill. Unfortunately, Sam's hand could not be saved. Sunny apologizes because if he had been just a little stronger, this could have been avoided. Sam has the appropriate skill, so losing his arm won't affect his performance too much. The guy climbed the tower like crazy for the sake of his own height. Sam thinks that this is not bad, but his life credo is that the strong are obliged to help the weak. Sam is calm about Khan, who is incredibly strong, but at least he is not a schizo-psychopath. Sunny offers a light. Sam refuses because he doesn't smoke or drink alcohol. The guy's breath is simply taken away when he sees Sam without a mask. The Japan Hunters Association ceremoniously captures the heroes. News channels are interviewing. Sunny gives Catherine a pendant, which she really likes. The guys say goodbye. The grateful Japanese even improved the design of the red tailcoat. All the equipment is shiny, which is not surprising, because they prevented a real catastrophe that threatened the country. 3 days on Earth were pure chaos, and becoming a famous person was not in the guy's plans. But the Japan Hunters Association filmed the fight from a helicopter, and the video is circulating all over the internet. Viewers in their comments nicknamed the guy the Sword Ghost, praising his unrivaled skill. Sunny also thinks that behind Sam's mask is the strongest of the 30 S-rank hunters, the Lightning Emperor, a hero of Korea who cleared portals with incredible speed. Sam left his business card and asked to contact at any time with any questions. When a window announces his impending return to the tower, Sunny is determined to become stronger to truly live up to his nickname as the Sword Ghost. Han learned lessons from the fight with Namong. First of all, he lacks stamina. The skill Ash Blood is very effective, but only if you have enough stamina. Sunny learns endurance skills at the store, but decides not to bother with shopping doubts and simply buys the entire selection. For 15,000, Automatic Stamina Recovery Class D, Moonlight Absorption Class E for 10,000 points. Also purchased E-Grade Sunlight Absorption for 10,000, C-Grade Excessive Growth for 20,000, and C-Grade Call of Blood for 20,000 points. Having acquired recovery skills, the guy moves on to synthesizing them, combining the most compatible ones. By absorbing E-Class Sunlight and Moonlight, the C-Class Photosynthesis skill is synthesized, which allows one to absorb mana through light. Next, Han synthesizes photosynthesis with Call of Blood Class C, creating the skill Blood Contract Class C, which allows one to extract mana and strength from blood. Sunny once again buys the skill Call of Blood from the store for 20,000 and synthesizes it with Blood Contract. This time, the skill Bloodseeker Class B is created, with which mana, stamina, and strength are extracted from blood, allowing one to control the blood of the living. The guy decides to test what it means to control blood and cuts his hand. He can literally give blood any shape, and to extract blood you don't even need to make cuts. The guy then proceeds to improve the skill Eye of Truth, synthesizing on its basis the skill Eye of the Fire Dragon of Class A+. Now you can see the invisible, see information through the eyes of a dragon, and determine the lies of your interlocutor. Sunny immediately activates the eye. It turns out that the old tailcoat of the vampire count is capable of creating a bloody shield using blood or stamina. And if you fill the speed boots with mana, the acceleration period will be longer. Sunny simply could not see these phrases before, not having the necessary skill for this. He looks at the Bloody Sky Demon Blade. He must reach the Flame Sword stage and activate the blood energy effect to the maximum. In this case, the true ability of this blade will be unlocked. It was with the Flaming Sword that Namong destroyed the Tokyo area. That is, the true ability of the blade can only be awakened by those who wield the Flaming Sword. Sunny decides to continue climbing the tower and enters the 11th floor with the mental test theme, which is given 7 days to complete. You must pass through 7 gates within the allotted time. As a reward, you are promised an antique S-Class inspection mirror. Sunny finds himself in a room where he is greeted in the Temple of Verification by the priest Johann, who stands on one leg and looks more like Tarzan. The test of the god of testing awaits the one who enters. But Sunny is not familiar with the rules of the tests of the 7 supreme gods of Ares. The priest is forced to explain that there is a test of body, faith, and spirit. It starts with the body, and the tests end with mentality tests. Beyond the gates of each room, a high priest awaits the challenger, who must either be convinced or killed in order to advance to the next room. The priest declares that it is time to begin the first test and rushes at the guy. Sunny activates the Bloodseeker skill and directs blood from his finger into the opponent's forehead, which turns out to be completely knocked out. The guy is delighted with the new skill. Absorbing the spirit of the priest increases mastery by 5.8%. Admin. The priest of the 7 gods is shocked by this scene. Admin hero of the destroyed world praises the interesting spectacle. Admin Godslayer, swordsman, approves of the inhuman cruelty. Admin Divinity Seeker asks not to worry. The test is going flawlessly. Judging by the nicknames of the admins, it is clear why they are attracted to this test. Lord Steelblood is shocked, and White Crane Sword is upset that she didn't know about the test in advance. Khan has no idea how to contact the admins. The priest is found to have an item, the divine mirror of the High Priest C+, which is capable of creating a divine shield once. The dragon's eye sees the end of the description phrase, which states that the power of the god of verification in this mirror can motivate the owner to prove his destiny. Sunny doesn't understand the murky part of the description about the user's fate, but considers the mirror to be just a disposable shield. He enters through the next door. There in the hall sits the priestess Jane, who is surprised at how quickly the adventurer made his way to her, and believes that the days of the priest Johann are already numbered. The priestess instantly jumps up and throws the chair she was sitting on at the guy. Sunny concludes that since the priestess starts with violence, there will indeed be a body check. Jane agrees and immediately attacks the guy. Sunny dodges the priestess's sword. The guy activates the powers of Ki Sword Master and the skill Lightning Chi Sword. Jane's expression is one of extreme surprise. The priestess is puzzled as to how an ordinary adventurer could master a complete aura, and Han doesn't understand that if Jane uses Chi energy, then what should stop her opponent from doing the same? The priestess calls Chi energy a divine power bestowed by the god of testing upon his priests. The fight continues. The guy notes that Johann said that the priest doesn't have to be killed to go further. Did he convince Jane to let him through, and how many gates are left? The priestess states that this is only possible if the boy fights like a god. Sunny seems too relaxed to her, as if he has already won, and she will answer only after the victory. The guy activates instant acceleration and simply knocks the sword out of the priestess's hands, saying that he has won. Jane is extremely indignant. The guy now asks to tell how the verification process is going. Instead of answering, the priestess asks if Sunny intends to take her by force. Admin hero of the destroyed world waits for an answer. Lord of Steel Blood watches with narrowed eyes. White Crane Sword is troubled by the unexpected question. Sunny states that she is not into such nastiness. Jane chuckles with relief. Lord Steel Blood agrees with Jane. The Steel Crane Sword is entrusted to Sunny. Admin Divinity Seeker watches with interest. The first 4 gates are for testing the body, then 2 gates are for testing the spirit, and the 7th gate is for testing the mentality. The priestess suggests considering surrender before entering the 7th gate, because no one had ever passed through the 7th gate before. Those who entered either went mad or bled profusely. The Eye of the Fire Dragon confirms that the priestess is not lying. For the first time in her long years as a priestess, Jane enjoyed fighting. She is not afraid of death, and there is no other way to go further. She will simply find herself next to her god. Sunny decides not to delay because he would feel even more disgusting. Absorbing Jane's spirit increases mastery by 8.8%, but it doesn't bring the guy any joy. Beyond the next gate, he is met by the gray-bearded swordsman Rez. Rez will test his martial arts skills to prove he is worthy of entering the next gate. Sunny recognizes the priest's flaming blade as a flaming sword, albeit in an unstable state. He is surprised that already at the third gate of the test he is forced to face such a skill. Sunny believes that now he has to risk his life, but the guy is very surprised that the priest's stats, as well as the power emanating from his sword, are noticeably inferior to his own. Moreover, it is not clear that in such a situation it is precisely Sunny's key energy that ends up in a losing position. When Hank Namgung used the flaming sword, Han thought that it was either a high-level skill or an indication of the psychopath's wild strength. All of Sunny's attacks are simply ineffective. Rez states that his sword cannot be broken, no matter how strong the aura of the test subject is. Only he who is able to overcome the invisible to the eye can do this. And only he who knows how to use the invisible can create a sword that pierces everything that exists. Rez states that only in this way is the magic sword aura with absolute power born. Sunny breaks the priest's sword. Khan realized that the flaming sword was activated by such an unbending willpower that it could be expressed as real physical strength. Priest Rez congratulates the guy who truly mastered the test, having learned the whole essence at once, and this makes the priest delighted. Rez states that the boy has passed the martial arts test, and he wishes him to move forward in the same spirit. Sunny promises that the priest will not feel pain and immediately cuts off his head with one blow. Absorbing Rez's spirit increases his mastery by 14%, and his unique necromancy stat is upgraded to B rank. Sunny wonders what new ability will appear with the increase in the rank of necromancy. The new additional effect of necromancy is intriguing. By absorbing the soul of a stronger enemy, there is an opportunity to extract power. The window announces the stats: mana 79, endurance 84, stamina 81, agility 85, strength 86. Sunny absorbs the souls of 3 fallen priests to increase the stats: stamina plus 9, mana plus 8, endurance plus 7, agility plus 6, strength plus 8. Rez's A, class Indomitable Will skill, is also absorbed. This skill increases concentration and physical abilities when faced with a superior opponent, making it easier to achieve enlightenment. Sunny opens the next gate and at first sees no one. However, he is not surprised by the question from above whether Rez has left this mortal earth. The winged youth did not expect such a turn of events. The swordsman Godslayer cries out for caution. The hero of the ruined world warns of the real enemy. The Lord of Steelblood is delighted with the priest's powerful energy. The White Crane sword tells of the priest's true key energy skills. Sunny swings his sword. The winged one notices that the guy is not in the mood for conversation. Therefore, it is necessary to proceed to testing the 4th gate. The priest says that his name is Chiron, a candidate for the apostle of the god of testing, and now he will check the body of the candidate. The window reports a collision with a strong enemy and the activation of the skill Indomitable Will. Han feels the enormous power of Chiron's energy. A glowing crystal appears in the priest's hand, with which he attacks Sunny. Rays of light reflect off the mirrors in the hall, greatly irritating Khan, who activates the Dragon's Eye. The guy feels that he needs to attack before the enemy starts constantly chasing him with beams. But the apostle candidate carries out his next attack using his wings, and only after throwing Sunny aside does he take hold of the glowing crystal. Khan senses the use of a flaming sword in the enemy's attack. The feathered one flies away to the heights again. Attacking from a distance with beams is clearly a proven guarantee of victory, because the beam can be dodged, but mirrors will reflect the beam at an angle into the blind spot. And in close combat, Chiron creates a gust of wind with his wings and disrupts the enemy's balance, and only after that he connects his fire sword. The bird's behavior exactly matches the guy's assumption. The diagram is just not very clear, but on the fly it is not very easy to figure out the placement of mirrors around the hall. Because if you hit the mirrors, their small fragments will split the light beam even more, and it is simply impossible to dodge hundreds of small beams. Admin Sky King doubts the difficulty level of the 11th floor. The Priest of Repentance does not believe that this is just an apostle candidate. Admin Black Devil is interested in how the challenger will die. The Bloodlord believes that the Itchy Fly is just wasting Khan's time. The White Crane sword anticipates the boy's actions. Karen warns that things won't be easy now, and launches a whole network of refracted rays. An explosion occurs. The window informs you that the counterattack shield has absorbed the maximum amount of damage the guy is releasing. The candidate for apostle is shocked by this turn of events. He saw no signs of learning magic, and asks if Khan uses the power of a god. But the guy simply doesn't know what it is. The participant did not flee the battlefield or lose the fight, so Karen declares that the physical tests are complete and passed. Absorbing Karen's spirit increases mastery by 8.8%. Extract C plus grade divine power. The guy feels some kind of energy penetrating his heart, but it does not circulate and is apparently controlled in a completely different way than mana. White Crane's sword asks why divine power has penetrated the key energy core. And Lord is perplexed. There is no trace of God in the divine power of the heart. Absorbing the spirit of Chiron gives stamina plus 5, mana plus 4, endurance plus 3, agility plus 1, strength plus 4. In the next room, the guy is met by an old man, greeting the man overcome by martial arts madness. Sonny doesn't understand what you're talking about. The old man explains that victories follow one after another, which means the guy's goal is endless growth in order to become the strongest. Sonny doesn't deny his desire to become stronger, but the local elder is clearly exaggerating a bit. The old man states that he is simply voicing a conclusion that Sonny will come to on his own over time. Sonny swings his sword. At that very moment, the old man is already standing on the guy's head and broadcasts from there that these gates test faith, not the body, so there is no need to get excited. The old man's chaotic, unpredictable movements are simply beyond imagination. Sonny realizes with horror that the old man has penetrated his mind. The boy feels like his body is weakening, and old hands are reaching out from all sides, trying to grab his arms and legs. It's as if he's covered in a multitude of these old hands, and above him towers the huge head of an old man, opening his bottomless mouth, as if wanting to swallow the guy whole. Which is what happens next. The old man notices that this is what this taste is like. The next moment, a confused Sonny, sword in hand, is again standing in the hall not far from the old man. The old man reports that the guy has passed the 5th gate, and he can head to the next one. Sonny clarifies that the 5th gate begins with the contemplation of mental images. But only participants with an unwavering will can look into their world of images. And the old man feels this unshakable will in the guy, as well as the desire to kill anyone in order to become stronger. The old man suggests that the boy kill him too if he wants. Then he won't have to wallow in senile dementia, but can immediately find himself in God's arms. Sonny refuses to kill Grandpa. Grandpa asks why. Khan doesn't understand why he's asking about the obvious. Grandfather said that the test was passed, so there's no reason to kill him. The old man sends the boy on and wants him to pass all the upcoming tests. Beyond the 6th gate, Sonny finds himself in pitch darkness. A female voice seemed to whisper a greeting in his ear. The guy swings his sword again, already realizing the futility of his undertaking. A female voice confirms his fears that he has already entered the world of mental images, because the priest Kinnear planted a special seed so that the boy could enter here. Sonny understands at what point the old man could have managed to pull this off. The priestess purrs so that he doesn't worry. She will look after his physical shell. But her promises don't make me feel any calmer. The priestess is outraged by human rudeness. After all, she could have simply pierced the guy's neck. Sonny wonders how he will be tested for his faith. The priestess giggles as if to say, "Why such politeness all of a sudden?" But he explains that the guy is now in the space of his own mental images. As soon as he sees them, the 6th gate will be left behind. The world of mental images is similar to the darkness that occurs when you close your eyes. Sonny clarifies that one must see the very essence of this world, which is actually empty. The priestess of the god of testing, Eileen, announces the beginning of the 6th test, and with these words, Sonny begins to fall into the abyss. But there is still a bottom, because the fall is noticeable. The priestess asks not to be surprised, because the pain is like real pain. A solution must be found. Otherwise, the guy will simply drown without water around. Sunny activates the power of tranquil mind, which greatly surprises the priestess. This power prevents him from losing his composure and weakens the restrictions of mental images. Without panic, Han calmly holds his breath. But he is very alarmed by the tingling sensation he feels in his fingertips. The priestess is impressed by the guy's willpower. She didn't expect him to be able to move and break free from the bonds of mental images. This speaks of the guy's ability to defend himself on a subconscious level. The priestess decides to keep it a secret that the guy freed his hand and swung his sword, almost cutting off her head. Sunny is slowly starting to feel her body. Eileen claims that it is impossible to feel anything in the world of mental images. She does not understand how he regained control of his body in just 2 hours, while Sunny was completely sure that only a minute had passed since he entered. The priestess explains that in reality, time is much faster than in the world of mental images. Sunny is in a panic. Dying from a fine for failing the test is not in his plans. The guy activates the eye of the fire dragon, and he sees himself in a sea of blood. Eileen screams, "What nonsense is this, and how could the world of mental images open up to the applicant?" Sunny activates steel wings. Eileen wonders if Khan is human and why steel wings appear on his back. The guy rushes upward. The world of mental images that opens up to his gaze looks alarming and ominous. Sunny touches one of the swords flying around with his hand. An explosion occurs. The priestess screams, "Why does her world look like this?" The white crane sword is glad that Khan has woken up. The Lord sighs with relief that he has come to his senses. Admin hero of the destroyed world is surprised that the guy woke up faster than he thought. Khan wonders how what happened is connected to faith at all. Eileen explains that testing faith means a way of recognizing one's own nature. But people do not understand what they believe. The boy had to face the images created by faith, actions, and thinking, and in his world of mental images, the priestess read the desire to overcome the miserable past and become stronger without losing her humanity. The guy's desires are extremely simple, but it is not known whether he will be able to follow them. Nevertheless, Eileen wishes good luck to the adventurer who does not look like a human. The system reports that Sunny has reached the 7th gate, and also that the god of verification is watching over the applicant. The guy involuntarily recalls the words of the priestess of the 2nd gate, saying that no one has ever passed through the 7th gate. But Sunny does not intend to join the general list of candidates who failed the screening. However, suddenly the guy experiences a strange sensation, reminiscent of drowsiness. It seems as if Khan has found himself in an insurmountable situation. His body seems to turn to stone and refuses to fight for survival. But Sunny convinces himself that he is simply seeing a strange eye hanging in the sky that has nothing to do with God. Never again in his life would he freeze in a state of panic and helplessly watch what is happening. So the guy swings his sword with all his might, and he thrusts it into his palm, activating the ash blood, which reduced all types of pain by 17%. The guy doesn't want to stand there like a pathetic little bug any longer and wait to be trampled. Now he lives to break through any challenges he faces. Sunny becomes confident that this location was created precisely according to this principle. Khan is not completely confident in his success in cutting the pupil hanging in the sky, but if there is a minimal chance and if the guy can move forward at least one more step, then Sunny will definitely land his blow, which is what the guy does. The window informs that the god of testing values the strength of spirit that he has not seen for a long time and commands him to prove himself. The god of testing remembers the candidate, therefore he announces the beginning of the test of the 7th gate. After the system's start message, the celestial eye disappears and Sunny remains on the bridge. A black mirror appears in front of him, in which the guy sees a reflection that looks very similar to himself. You need to establish contact with the future version of yourself and start synchronizing. The guy touches the surface of the mirror. The system reports the start of a mentality check and an increase in the speed of assimilation with the reflection in the mirror. Then the reflection opens its mouth and literally swallows Sunny. It is necessary to prove that the guy's beliefs will remain unchanged in the future. The guy falls into the hall of the first gate. There, the still-alive priest Johann is mournfully crying in search of his missing mirror. Streaks of light appear around Sunny, and he is transported to a place that looks a lot like South Korea on Christmas Eve. Hanging in the air, the guy sees a version of himself on the street, turning into an alley. The version cuts his hand with a sword, and he floods the crowd walking near the tree with his blood, killing the people whom the drops touch. Sunny can't believe his eyes. Only crazy bastards do that. The window reports, the assimilation rate with the mirror version increases to 10%. It feels like the guy's flesh is being ripped off in chunks while he's still alive. At the same time, Khan is overwhelmed by a terrible mixture of anger, madness, and guilt. Moreover, it seems as if the priest Johann comes up from behind, puts his hand on his neck, and in an ingratiating voice claims that it was Sunny who took his mirror. The Tarzan-like priest won't let the boy close his eyes, and as if it puts a bandage of nightmares on his head. The window informs about the blocking of skills that interfere with the spirit of the applicant. The figure of a priest lamenting about his mirror hangs over Sunny, who is waving his sword at Johann, who continues to lament about his mirror. The guy regretfully realizes that the power of the tranquil mind was blocked right now when mental protection was needed. Meanwhile, the mirror version absorbs the souls of the murdered people. Mirror Sunny smirks and says that if he had known about this, he would have crossed the line in the first place. Assimilation speed increases to 20%. The window reports that due to unbearable shock, the applicant is in an abnormal state of chi intoxication. Khan does not believe that the reflection does such abominations. He is aware of his obsession with power, but he would not go that far. The window says that if you don't remove chi intoxication, your magic chain skill proficiency will decrease to 10%. Immediately after that, there were messages about a decrease in mastery of the magic chain skill by 0.3%, 0.7%, 0.04%. Suddenly, Sunny is transported to another pseudo-location where the mirror version is already in traditional clothes. The guy realizes that he finds himself in the Murim dimension, and the mirror prototype demands that he bring the head of the Murim Union. In return, he promises to save the lives of the residents present here. The head of the Murim Union, Jin, approaches. He heard that a psychopath has appeared in their dimension, who introduces himself as the Sword Phantom. When Jin meets him face to face, he sees that the intruder is worthy of his nickname. He asks the guy's name. Instead of responding, the mirror version attacks. The opponents meet in a duel. The area around them is littered with bodies of locals. Jin simply doesn't know what to say. The Sword Ghost killed all the members of the Murim Union, despite promising not to touch them. Jinin wonders if the intruder feels any shame. The ghost is not ashamed at all, because the surrounding non-entities are simply his combat resource and, moreover, of no value. He simply cuts off the head of the Murim Union without even looking back. The window states a forced increase in the speed of assimilation with the reflection of the mirror to 30%. The locations in the mirror have changed many times. The mirror prototype has killed thousands of enemies and has become a madman who is only interested in his own growth. No pleas for mercy for the collateral victims moved him. The monster never lost and had absolutely no pity. The window reports a forced increase in the assimilation speed with reflection up to 50%. At this moment, Sunny, in the nightmare blindfold, feels what the mirror prototype experiences, and he understands how much pleasure he gets from killing for the purpose of growth. A powerful bolt of lightning strikes the Hunters Association building. Sam kicks down the door and Lika's figure looms behind him. Sam wonders if Sunny expects to get away with it after all the atrocities he's committed. The mirror version of Han silently drags the unconscious Chong Li. A saddened Lika asks why Sunny is doing this. The girl, in tears that mix with the rain, screams, "Why kill innocent, simple people to become stronger?" Sunny Mirror doesn't understand why he needs to ask about obvious things. After all, he kills people who are just raw material for his growth. Sam reminds of his ability to control lightning, and he advises Mirror to prepare for death in such weather. Sam charges forward, wanting the demonic spawn dead. Mirror laughs and states that when he was just Sonny Khan, he would have definitely taken the threat of the Lightning Emperor into account. The prototype raises his flaming sword, ready to cut Sam in half. Filled with horror and sadness, Lika begs Mirror to stop and come to his senses. Sonny feels that the mad personality is capable of absorbing him, and even 50% assimilation can destroy the brain. The window reports assimilation inside the mirror by 60% and a decrease in the magic chain by 0.1%, 0.5%, 0.2%. The assimilation rate increases to 70%. Sonny can no longer bear the psychological shock. The guy falls, unable to even determine whether it hurts or feels good. Here Khan remembers how the pseudo-Tarzan whispered in his ear accusations of stealing his mirror. Sonny remembers that he actually took the mirror of the priest of the first gate. He takes out an item from his inventory. Activating the divine mirror of the high priest surrounds you with a divine shield that dispels mental clouding at all levels. The system reports the cancellation of the anomalous status, spiritual instability. Echoes of the former Khan are visible in the mirror. Two faces, the current guy and the monster from the mirror reflection, appear through each other. As if from the monster's guise, a normal Sonny breaks into the light, tearing the monster's shell in half. Sonny Khan screams that he will not allow himself to be consumed. The system reports that steel spirit has been achieved and stamina has been increased by 1. The window reads, Khan has proven that his beliefs remain unchanged, and reports the completion of the mentality check. The Lord is relieved. The White Crane Sword is glad that the condition has stabilized. The hero of the destroyed world laughs at the guy's method. The god of testing is satisfied with the result of the test and wishes to personally see the candidate, who is forcibly called to the Holy Land. Sonny is in shock, not understanding what the Holy Land and forced conscription are, but he feels like he is being transported somewhere. The window says the god of inspection has temporarily taken over by using divine power in the tower. Admins will not be able to observe. The Tower of Trials allows you to summon a challenger if his personal safety is ensured. The system reports the entrance to the sacred abode of the god of verification. The guy seems to be standing in the heavenly void. Light descends from above, which as it approaches transforms into a humanoid figure. The god of verification communicates through system messages, like the Tower of Trials. He asks who the young man is. God senses divine power in Khan, but asks him not to stare at him, as the guy won't be able to see anything except foggy outlines now. When the god of Trials meets in person, he sees the heterogeneity of the challenger. He asks if Khan is a pseudo-deity created by the tower. Sonny doesn't know what that means. God explains that it's what admins are called. They gain quasi-divine status by making a contract with the tower. Khan is just a participant. God sees that he is different from other pseudo-deities because he has his own divine power. The god of verification had not been interested in the tower for a long time, in which many interesting things had already happened. He asks if Khan understands the impossibility of creating the real by the power of a pseudo-divine. Khan is an apostle of a pseudo-divinity, but he created the real thing. To Sonny, it sounds like he did something great, but in reality he killed Karen and accidentally gained divine power, which turns out to be important. God is surprised, believing that Khan extracted the divinity by removing traces of the god in the extraction process, because he knew everything. But the god understands from the applicant's face that he has no idea what divine power is. Khan repeats that he acquired it by accident. Even the admins, the counterfeits of God made by the tower, would have achieved this only from the divine power that God gives to his future apostle. God senses the cause and effect relationship even if Khan extracted Chiron's divine power unconsciously. But how did Khan absorb the power without a trace of God? It is clear to the god of testing that the Tower of Trials has high expectations for Sonny. God made a mistake. He sees the tower's anger and realizes that this information should not have been disclosed. The god of inspection promises to watch over Sonny from the sky. Han shouts that he still has a lot of questions. What is divinity? What is the cause and effect relationship? Why did he see himself as a monstrous monster in the future? The god of proof believes that the applicant has seen too deeply into his future. divine conclusion. If you gaze long into emptiness, emptiness will begin to gaze into you, because it is looking for a gap to penetrate the mind. God advises to beware of this and informs that the guy will soon return to where he came from. A being like the Tower is difficult to deal with, no matter what god stands before the challenger. If the boy can visit the Temple of Verification in Ares, then the god will be able to give more answers to the boy's questions. The god of testing advises the boy not to trust other gods, who will henceforth consider him an enemy. Sunny gets an antique inspection mirror, 70,000 points, 3,000 plus 1,500 special points for completing the 11th floor. The guy thinks that the creature that decided to condescend to him told him more than he knew up to this point. According to the god's words, it was by the Tower's will that he extracted and received divine power. Just like the fact that he signed contracts with the admins and became an apostle, it also happened according to the Tower's plan. The words of the god of verification that the guy created, "It's not clear what exactly, but it's real," also explain little to Khan. The only consolation in this completely incomprehensible situation is that the gods cannot harm him while he is under the protection of the Tower. The system is expanding. The Earth dimension is registered as official for ascension in the Tower. Participants from other dimensions face a fine when moving to Earth, and applicants from Earth, not from the pioneers, will be able to receive a halo. Observation restrictions for admins are lifted. Lord is happy to see him return, and White Crane Sword watches Khan's condition with tears. The guy remembers that the god of verification called the administrators pseudo-deities and wonders whether they can be trusted. But he comes to the conclusion that in this disgusting situation, one cannot trust anyone at all. Sunny enters the world of Steel Blood and confidently heads towards the administrator's house. The Lord runs out to meet him, asking if her contractor has suffered too much. Instead of answering, the guy strikes with his sword. The girl dodges the blow. Sunny wonders if the admins are in cahoots with the Tower to use him too. The Steel Blood Lord regards his contractor's behavior as a side effect of a mentality check.